All right. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great evening. I am Marnezy here. Welcome to the 2020 Fighting FEXL Roundtable. I am joined by Razzira and Geki here with me tonight. How are you folks doing?
I'm doing great.
That is amazing.
Myself as well. I'm doing good. I'm ready and happy to take part in tonight's roundtable.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we do not have a round table per se, um, but you know, if we did, it would have been a pretty comfortable table with some tea, maybe some
Yep.
coffee, and things like that as we sit around and discuss what's been happening this year with fighting EX Layer and things like that. So what we have in front of me is which my dumb self forgot to share my screen with you two.
Okay, I'm watching the stream now.
um, there we go. I pulled it up.
There
But
we go.
so is the tier list I made last time, which was back in October. We'll get to that later. But basically, 2020 has been a very interesting year. But mostly though, 2020 has sucked for the most part.
Mhm.
Agreed.
With the pandemic that's been going on, we haven't really had any offline events. The only one that I went to this year was Frosty Fostings in January. And
Mhm.
that was the last time, to my knowledge, that there was an offline event for Fighting EX Layer. There was a side tournament for it, which unfortunately I was not able to be a part of because I had to run a bracket at that same time, so I was not able to do that. But and it was really quiet for quite a while
Mhm.
in terms
Mhm.
of tournaments for Fighting EX Layer until May or
Yeah.
June, where Justin Long literally tweeted out that he wanted a challenge that if he can get 32 members of the Fighting EX Layer community for a tournament. Well, unfortunately, we didn't get 32, but we did have a tournament though, in for Down Back Fight Club in June for Justin Long's tournament, which Razzira and I were part of the top 8 crew for that. Sorry, Geki, you got knocked out super early. I looked at the bracket
Yep.
the other day, and I was like,
Fuck
dang.
PS4.
Pour one out.
Pour one out, right? Pour one out, and I was like, dang, he lost to a Forchata guy round one, and I'm like, but I've beaten that guy many times.
Was that the
And
one? Was that the Darun player that had Nightmare?
I think that was
I
Anime
believe.
Evo.
Or
I think
no,
that
sorry,
was
that was Beta Government. Never mind. That was a different tournament.
Yeah, no, Horchata guy played Terry, if I remember correctly.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
missed that guy. I want him to come back, but we had that, and then so basically, it was the summer of this year was when Fighting X Slayer had its like biggest boom. We had Anime Evo in August,
Yep.
which it was the biggest online FEXL tournament that we've had this year, and the match arena for that was $1,000,
Yeah.
and that was and it was an amazing tournament because I got to commentate it. Of course you did as well, Geki, along with KB.
Mm-hmm.
So Hidden Gem put it
Yep.
together. And that was a fun tournament, despite the fact that it was like 6.5 hours long, which was insane for a fast game.
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah, it was
but
close. It was neck and neck for a lot of the competition.
yeah, and especially the grand final with Disintegration and Lord Jimmy Bones. That was a fun set to watch,
Mm.
and all that. So, and then
We,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say we also had the quarantine report that I ended up running by myself.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did. That was in May
And
this year.
yeah, and it was basically a ton. I think it was like 100 different fighting games or something like that. And they wanted someone from FEXL to run the tournament, so I
Mhm.
just ended up doing everything. And yeah, we ended up raising, I think it was like $1,400 or $1,000 for COVID relief, which was really nice at the
Nice.
time.
Wow.
Yeah, it
Very,
was awesome.
very nice, very nice. And anything for charity is great. Now I will tell you, like when Down Back Fight Club was announced, um, I really had a lot of debate within myself if I wanted to enter it because I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I didn't play it since Combo Breaker 2019,
Damn.
Oh,
and
geez.
yeah. So because I'm also I'm an events manager and tournament organizer for my own locals. So
Mhm.
I've been playing other games and running other games and things like that and nobody at my local played Fighting EX Layer, and it was a pretty crappy experience trying to play Fighting EX Layer online.
Mhm.
Whether it's not finding people even or basically relying on Discord, but more importantly, it was that the net code was bad.
The
Well,
delay
the
based.
delay based netcode, but
Yes.
however, in late August though, I think it was August September, we had the FGC Roundtable that was happening with the Japanese devs, and Nishitani just like flexed on everybody
Oh
and
yeah.
was like, "Hey, we're gonna roll back. Oh, by the way, it's dropping tonight
Yeah, on both consoles.
on both."
Because at the time they were doing a beta on PC only, and that was on the April Fool's version of the game, so the
Yep.
mechanics were also different too.
Yep.
And they
Yeah.
essentially were testing it for about a month and a half. That was
So,
released to us. I think they updated it like 3 or 4 times
mm,
within that month. And then we were expecting them to do like a beta for PS4. They kept telling us throughout the testing that it's going to be difficult. We don't know when we're going to get it fully released. And yeah, like you said, after the roundtable, he just dropped the bomb. He's like, "Oh, by the way, it's out on PS4 and PC, full release. Roll back netcode, enjoy."
oh yeah. And what was really cool was that during I was able to actually beta test it as well because a friend of mine was nice enough to give me Fighting X Layer when it was on sale as a late birthday present because my birthday's in June and that beta was in July.
Nice.
And so I was like, oh my god, I can like enter all the tournaments now. I can do this, check out this April Fool's beta that everybody was hyping about back in April,
Hmm.
and see what it was all about. Which at the time it was the gameplay mechanics were different. There was no Gogi, there was no juggling, there was no dashing. It was just traditional Street Fighter EX type gameplay with a few quirks like
Hmm.
canceling into guard break, which is the dumbest and most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah, and
Uh,
this
Oh,
remix of like EX Arrow.
yeah,
You had like armored dashing that you could kind of dash cancel like a focus attack, but you just get the run instead. So you could combo with like some certain juggles mid screen and a few more in the corner, but like it was kind of interesting because you never got to see certain characters get juggle opportunities, like Garuda, for example, right? But with this beta, when you landed a Shuga, which usually just knocks you straight down, you can cancel it as it's hitting and then get a dash combo, which is really cool.
Yeah,
So
it was kind of nuts. It was fun. We had Geki, you yourself had ran I think 2 tournaments of that,
yeah.
which was the when you look at it, there are some things that we'd all be watching. It's like, oh, I didn't know you can actually do that. It was really cool.
Hmm.
And what was fun about that is I think one of the reasons why I actually liked that gameplay was because I'm old school,
Hmm.
and it was more about neutral than anything, and so having a good neutral will definitely help you out, and that's how I used to play back in the day, back in the olden days, since I'm like apparently a relic to some people, but um, but that was really fun, but it also made me think that yeah, the actual Fighting X Layer gameplay itself, with Gogi and that, with dashes and juggles and stuff, that was even more fun because made the game more fast paced, things like that. It
Hmm.
was so funny because like during that Gogi less beta, it was 2 rounds at 99 seconds, and we're like, what is this?
Yeah.
It was like,
didn't
what?
stop games from being extremely quick though. As soon as you
Yeah.
see the 50% combos busting out.
Yep.
True. True. What was kind of weird too is that it kind of at the same time of changing up the mechanics quite a bit and giving more characters universal options. I think the removal of chains and certain combo structure rules. Like, if you can't cancel a normal into a unique attack like you could in the base FEXL game. So it kind of made some characters' normals a bit useless, in my opinion. And it kind of normalized and kind of made the cast a little less unique. Especially because you're taking out the Gogi, and on top of that, you're taking away their expression and their unique chain attacks and like the frame data on that sort of stuff. So it made it somewhat boring in a sense, but then it made other parts exciting. So it's like a interesting like take on what FEXL might have been, maybe.
Yeah, if it was like that, like maybe that's what they thought of before the first April Fool's reveal.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, back in was it 2017, something like that, I think, or 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they were going for initially before going with the Gogi system, which I'm actually glad the Gogi system exists in the game, because it does offer a new layer of strategy, which brings me to this next topic. After the rollback was actually fully implemented into
Mm-hmm.
both releases, there's someone you might know, just a little known streamer with a small following, named Sajam.
Mm-hmm.
You may or may not know him or of him. He's he's an up and coming content creator for fighting games.
Yeah, it's kind of small, kind of
Yeah, kind
nobody.
of, yeah, and he tried out the fact he tried it out, and it was it was uh it was a very interesting stream, because I actually watched it myself as well, and I think the perception of that stream kind of turned off a lot of people, because Sajam was actually trying to learn this game,
Mm-hmm.
but it was kind of hard to tell him how to play the game, because since he has so many people in his chat, you could he could barely see what any of us would type in there.
Yeah,
uh,
true.
and then of course here comes Geki over here, just strolling in, going, "Hey, let's play,"
Mm-hmm.
and then beats the crap out of Sajam, where there was like in the chat there was just like a "fuck Geki" message.
Yeah, they hated my ass.
Oh my god, they hated you. And I think with the because first impressions are always what really gets people. It's always, you got to make that good first impression,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately with that stream it kind of didn't. I think the way that whole stream would have been solved would have been like, "Hey, let's go up in my Discord, the Hoop Squad Discord, and let's get on the voice chat, and we can learn. You can teach me some things, about it, instead of
That would have
trying
been
to
better.
rely on his chat, things like
Mm-hmm.
that." The
Well, the big unfortunate thing too is that when you're such a popular streamer, most of the people in chat are going to be straight up dumbasses. No offense
Yeah,
to anybody, but
yeah,
it's just statistically speaking, that's what you're going to get, right? And negativity is always more popular than positivity. And at the same time, if someone's feeling positive, it's less likely that they'll say something about it than if they feel something negative, right?
right.
And on top of that, too, like the biggest thing that bothered Sajam was that I switched characters,
Yeah, good.
which
Yeah, good job.
I've never been told that in my life of playing fighting games, which is fine. Like I know everyone learns differently, which is okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, like you said, I do wish that we just organized that a little bit better so we could actually communicate with him. Because even though there was, I think, at least 8 people in his chat trying to tell him the answers or what he wanted to know, and he just simply couldn't see it, because every time there was something useful or something informative that he was asking, there'd be like 50 more comments saying about like, fuck Geki, what's this game? Does it have rollback? And then like it would just knock it past. So
Just
you never see it.
shouting the word "Gogi" in chat over and over again.
Yeah.
That's my favorite feature.
Or
Mhm.
or the typical, looks like some gems BS from Cross Tekken.
Yep.
That's it's the thing was, Fighting X Layer would have this boom for a bit, happened at launch on PS4. It was, and then the PC release, of course, had a boom. When Terry was released, there was a boom,
Yes.
and then the rollback implementation during the summer. Summer of 2020 was like the best time for finding EX layer. It really was.
I think that
Out
was the
of
biggest boom because
It
there was
was.
even other tournament organizers that never hosted a FEXL event ever
Mhm.
came out and said, "Oh, we're going to host a FEXL event." Now, mind you, they didn't do more than the one event that they did, but at least they reached out and tried,
Yeah,
which
and
is a surprise.
yeah, and then after the summer, I think it was because like most of us are home, we're playing other games, we're not always playing Fighting X Layer,
Mhm.
and it was back to what it used to be, what it was, which was very unfortunate because Fighting X Layer is a really fun game to play.
Oh yeah.
Even though I myself I don't play it like 4 or 5 times a week like Wavy Hammer does, or the few times a week that Machi and Dr. Mino Diarmino does, things like
Mhm.
that. Um, it's I think it's because we're so spread out, since the U.S. and North America is such a such a big continent that we're all
True.
spread out. We can't really like get together just to have like Fighting X Layer locals. Like Japan has a big one, and there's gatherings for Fighting X Layer there like once a week, something like
Mhm.
that. So
Mm.
and so it was like they're really, and plus with the lack of on offline events this year, there really couldn't be a lot of Fighting X Layer tournaments. Especially as I said, I believe Frosty Faustings was the only offline event in the United States
Right.
that was the only offline event for Fighting X Layer. Um,
Wow.
and things like that. So it's very unfortunate. Like I'm not saying it's very unfortunate, but when you look at everything, we still have the few players that are still playing.
Mhm.
You two, myself, Wavy, Robib, Eddie Bam plays when he can. Hidden Gem plays when he
Disintegration.
can. Disintegration.
Mhm.
Uh, a lot of other people. Jimmy Bones is concentrating on other stuff. D Nice has been on the Grand Blue versus uh, grind. Star Rich is taking care of his own stuff right now,
Mhm.
and a lot of other players that have entered, like during Justin's tournament, during Anime Evo,
Yep.
uh, we hardly see them anymore.
I
Especially,
haven't seen D Nice period since he went on. He used Ghost basically and then kept it on forever.
yeah, I mean, because after Beta Government 2, he decided to start concentrating on Grand Blue for Arc Revo.
Mhm.
So, but he's been doing his own thing, which D Nice is a great guy. He was actually my first choice for the Grand Blue versus Charity event that we ran, but unfortunately he was not able to. So,
Mm.
um, but but yeah, we all miss these players that haven't played in a while, that we haven't seen in a while. We all miss you. We all
Mhm.
want you to come back. And
Absolutely.
one of the things was because I was talking to Jackal about this too in his stream one time, and he said that Finding X
Mhm.
Layer just basically took too long. Arca basically took too long for him to stay interested.
Oh, I
Um,
see.
you
Like in
know,
terms of, features and quality
yeah,
of life and all that
yeah,
sort of stuff.
things like
Right.
that. I mean, it's 2020 where we now have rollback and Finding X Layer. It's not perfect rollback, but
Mhm.
it's playable at least with like I can finally play somebody in Europe flawlessly.
Yeah.
Except I still can't play South America that well, but that's a whole different story.
I mean, the popular games now, except for maybe, Mortal Kombat, you can't even play across like your own country.
Mhm.
Like I can't play anyone East Coast in Canada in Street Fighter Five, and that has been like the most popular fighting game of like 2020. And they
Yeah,
still drop content, they still drop this, right? But FEXL
and
gives it to you, no problem, for free,
yeah,
and people don't care.
yeah, and I can't even play someone in Canada in Dragon Ball Fighters. That's also a really popular game as well.
Mhm.
I don't really feel like playing on 15 frame delay.
Oh,
Well, it's
geez.
inconsistent too, right? It's not
Yeah,
just only 15 frames and it's solid. It's like 15, then 18, then 32, then 10, then
Yeah, one of the biggest things that makes it online fighting games just in general, and this applies to FEXL I think a bit as well,
Mhm.
is you know, the even rollback netcode is not going to fix bad connections.
For
And
sure.
the more that I play, I start to notice the biggest setback facing online fighting games is this constant up and down on connections because with FEXL, it's
Mhm.
got, you know, it's not the most perfect netcode, but all things considered is pretty good. The
Yeah.
problem lies in when the connection speed is going up and down and it's not stable and it's causing the game to jitter. And I think
Mhm.
that's where a lot of the negative connotation behind this netcode comes, is not necessarily because the netcode is bad, it's just the connection speed is not, it doesn't have any stability.
True. Well, the nice thing too is that the game, which is so rare, and it's so weird that like this budget fighter fighting X layer has a Wi-Fi indicator, region. It even says the player's name right before you accept a match to play online. And other fighting games can't give you even that,
right.
Hmm.
right? It's just the weirdest thing to me. I don't understand. I feel like with
It's
the content that Fexel has, that it's in a weird place where it's not old school enough to be an old school fighter, yet it's not modern enough to be a modern fighter. It's like stuck in this weird in between place where it mixes both or aspects of both, and some people just can't get the hang of it in some way or for some reason. So,
and it's and as I said earlier, first impression is everything.
mhm.
And to a lot of
Hmm.
people, the first impression of Finding X Layer was not that great. Even if Maximilian even covers Finding X Layer, it probably
Yeah.
won't. It probably won't change a lot of people's minds.
Hmm.
To be honest, and I'm not trying to be negative about it. It's just when you look at the bigger picture, um, it's Fighting X Layer is just is it's that weird niche game that you really have to invest into to be
Hmm.
able to enjoy it. Like that nice heated discussion I had on my stream 2 weeks ago. That was very
Good
interesting.
lord.
But I think it does it if it can get like at least some quality of life changes, if the crossplay can actually happen,
Hmm.
hopefully we can get people to actually like stay.
I mean, a
And
step in the right direction is that Mihara-san has been fixing a lot of stuff that we've requested or adding stuff that we've requested, like, fixing PS5 to PS4. He's still currently looking into upgrading the netcode even further and
mhm,
possibly releasing, a FEXL Plus or like some new version, kind of like a like Street Fighter 4 to Ultra Street Fighter 4 version. So it's the same core game, but it's a new version of it, so he can redo the netcode fully, which is insane because they don't have any money. Like, this game was made on Arika's own limited budget. It was
mhm.
done as a joke at the
Yeah.
beginning to see interest,
It,
and because of the reception, they went ahead and did it.
mhm,
And at the same time, they still released characters for free.
mhm.
They've been doing patches, balance changes, adding more content for free. The only thing they charge for is like colors and Terry, when like other games start at like $80 and you still have to pay for DLC. Like, there's no such thing as free content, right? But Arika, like, we're begging them to charge us money for this content so we can give them money.
I mean, I
Yeah,
like the
this has definitely been Arika's passion project.
Hmm.
and Mihara-san has said before that he didn't do any crowdfunding because he did not want to feel like he cannot produce something and make people happy.
Yeah.
Because we've seen some very interesting Kickstarters. Right at number 9. Sorry, I had a, I had some in my throat. Sorry about that. Um, things like that. So what I would really like, I would really like more players to play Fighting X because I swear to you, Steam charts are a curse.
Oh yeah.
And if I had $1 for every time that someone came into the Fighting X Layer Discord and asked, "Hey, what's the player base like?"
Mm-hmm.
Probably be able to pay my rent and maybe get a PS5 if I'm able to.
The deluxe edition, if that.
Yeah, at scalper prices.
Yep. Well,
That's
I'm in the process of organizing a FAQ or FAQ. I don't know how you guys say it, but a list of like common questions like that, and hopefully it'll narrow down those questions. But
hey,
people are stupid. People
you want
don't read shit. People don't look at what's right in front of them, and
it's
just scroll around a little bit before you're asking a question, which is fine. I understand. Maybe it's much faster to just ask than to browse a little bit, but I want it to be super obvious.
the thing is that it's like when someone asks me for any tournaments I run. Hey, what time does the tournament start? Even though it's
Hmm.
like right there.
Or it's the same time every single week. Like the
Yeah,
Shuga
that's it.
series, people are like, yeah, it just sucks because I want to play people in the game, but there's no one around. Oh, well, that's funny you say that. I'm hosting a weekly tournament. They're like, yeah, but I don't really want to join tournaments. Then what do you want?
I mean, you really have nothing to lose. It's free to enter.
Yeah, free to enter, you get
You,
prizes if
you
you do well enough or compete enough.
if you don't really leave your house.
Yeah,
You get to be weird. You can you can play Fighting X Slayer with no pants on, and we wouldn't even know.
true.
And things like that. So I mean, I don't understand a lot of. I understand if it's a schedule thing. I understand.
Hmm.
People have work.
Yeah,
People have personal things that they got to take care of. Razira couldn't really enter a lot of tournaments because the man is trying to be a genius at school.
true.
Things like that. So, which according to his one tweet, apparently he is a genius. Um,
It's a work in progress.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
work in progress, and playing in tournaments, especially consistently, it's a great learning experience for if any new players are watching. Entering tournaments is actually also a good learning experience. It gives you the experience, it lets you learn things, learn from your mistakes, and if you actually hear the commentary, we usually tend to kind of drop a little bit of knowledge here and there.
yeah. I think we always, each of us, every time we're on commentary, we always try to incite some sort of guidance to take to improve your game. Like honestly, it just if you enter the tournament and even if you go 0-2, just watch the stream again. As hard as that may be for some people, but like that's the best way to get better. Like if you look at people that are in the tournaments now that are doing well, like Wavy, Robib, like they've grown so much in the last couple months. It's ridiculous. Like I didn't
I,
think seeing Robib now at like the last tournament he was in, like the amount of juggle combos he would be doing, like the just the gameplay was so fluid, and then Wavy like developing his game plan over the several months he's been playing the game,
yeah, because
and getting the results that he's been getting.
Wavy's prior strategy was, hey, let's just skull a barrier every 2 minutes.
Hmm.
Oh, believe me, nothing's changed. I
Yeah.
played him just the other night.
Oh, okay. So he's still okay. Okay,
I'm still
he's.
getting hit by you. You can see it coming. You can telegraph it. You know to block, and then you'll still get hit.
Yeah.
I think it's because Scullaberry also has a lot of active frames as well. So when you think it's done, it ain't done. It's like, nah, we got work to do.
Yeah. If anything, like you can think of these tournaments that we have every week, and the Shuga series, the Gogi Classic. It's not really a tournament. It's just like a community experience because we want to hang out and just play Fighting X there with each other, discuss the game, just watch some fun matches. See some hype moments, and then clip that, share it with some people who may not know much about FEXL.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just a great way to kind of stay in touch and sort of have like our own
And
local scene, even though it's
yeah,
online and we're
and
together, right?
we want to get these. We want to get a lot of people to stay. It's just, especially with the people like folks' first impression. Of course, they're gonna jump online and then they're gonna get beat up by someone like me or Wavy or Razzira,
Mm.
because I mean, I have this tendency as well. I don't tend to hold back. So, especially for a new player, because I used to be a new player as well. So, but then I always have that mentality of like, well, this is how I actually learned, and this is how I got better, and et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. But not everyone learns that way, like like some of us do. So, what I really would want for 2021 is that I would like to see more growth with the newer players that have started playing. I would like to
Mhm.
see more people staying. I would like to, have us OGs, you know, keep teaching players about fighting EX Slayer, because there's even things that I'm still learning in fighting EX Slayer.
True.
Things like that. And I've, despite the fact that I took like a 1 year hiatus, I've played this game before. I know a thing or two. Um, Things like that. So we've had, this year, as I said, this year has actually been pretty great for FEXL. We had the rollback netcode. We had, Geki running the weeklies. You started the Shuga series. I started the Gogi Classic. I decided to make that twice a month, so that would, because I also run other tournaments, so
Yep.
I didn't want to get burnt out.
Mhm.
Things like that. And then Jimmy had the beta government. I hope he starts running those again. Starting
Mhm.
next year. I would like to, and hopefully events can actually open up for offline, and we can all just hang out finally, instead of talking to each other over this digital space.
I can't even see where you guys are.
Oh wow! Well, my stuff is in my living room, so but I think I think what I would also like to see, of course, crossplay. I would like to see basically just more involvement with fighting EX Slayer, and I really hope that one day we can just find a way to just throw some money towards Arca's way to be
Yeah.
able to improve their game, and have it, because we have a very dedicated community. We're actually pretty nice compared to some other fighting game communities. Um,
True.
where
Yeah, for
we're,
sure.
if someone asks for a match, we're not going to ask you for like your name, your address, your phone number, or whatever. There's actually a community that does that, but surprisingly, uh,
Well, what's funny is every huh?
How what community is
I
this?
think this is the Dissidia community. If I remember, if I was told one time about
What?
that, I was like, "What?
Damn.
I've never heard of this.
No, no, I never heard of it until
That's next
like
level.
2 months ago." It's like, wait, they did what? But and I would like us to hopefully have the time to be able to keep doing what we love to do. One of the biggest reasons why like Geki and myself be running these tournaments is because we love the game. We
Yep.
we love doing what we do. We love commentating it. We love running the game. We love playing the game. And we like to talk crap to each other about it all the time. But all in all, we're a pretty nice community.
Well, it's funny every time because I've been joining a lot of discords throughout this year for like certain events and stuff like that, and every time Fexel comes up, they're like, "Oh yeah, those people in the Discord are really nice," and like I just don't hear that about other discords. Like I see people talking in like the channels, and I'm like, some of these people are kind of dicks. Like they're not very friendly.
I mean, at least I know that the Discord I co-run,
Mhm.
uh, we're usually a nice bunch of people.
Mhm.
But
It's just weird to me because every time I bring up Fexel to people that I think don't play or don't know about Fexel, the things they know about it are so small, or like maybe just a smidgen of something that happened at launch, or maybe when they saw like one match like a year or two ago or something like that.
mm,
um, like today I was watching this Canadian player who plays Street Fighter. He entered in the Red Bull event that I was in, and I saw he was streaming, so I watched him for a bit, and I found out he played Skullomania and Fexel, so I ended up talking to him about that. I shared the guide website, of course, as I always do, and he ended up talking more and more about it, asking about like the changes because he hadn't played since Stealth Raptor got buffed, so he was like curious how that worked now, and he ended up stopping Street Fighter Five, loading up Fexel, and labbing the game and seeing how things were different. and I played of like first of 5 with him, and he was pretty damn good. But it's the thing is, right? You have no idea the information or the amount of play that someone has on this game. And the thing is, so many people seem to know about it. But if like every single one of those people that play it casually or play it here and there, if they each of them just turned it on once a day for like 10 minutes and tried to play one match, that would be enough people to have a ranked flow that would, you know, suffice for daily games from like everywhere across North America. Like it would just be easy.
Mhm.
But people just don't do it because, you know, the hardest part about growing a game that has little to no people in actual ranked mode, and it's just, you know, through Discord or events and stuff like that, is that you need people to join and try to search for matches. But the thing is, you need enough so that there's never any dead time. Because when there's no dead time, then you can keep getting matches and encourage more people to come back at another time slot. You know, maybe during the day later, maybe the next day at the same time. But the problem is, if the player amount is so small, even if they're consistent, if you do things like look at the Steam charts and you know, only try a certain time of the day, not only that, people don't search properly either. They search for 5 bars within the same country, right? And you're never going to find a match because on top of the player base being smaller than, you know, popular games, you're just never going to find anybody. Even if there's people like 4 bars right next door to you, you'll just never run into them, right? So then you'll think, oh, this is a dead game, blah blah blah. Like, what's the point of playing this? I can't find any matches. Refund. You know, at best they keep the game for the sake of supporting rollback, but that's not going to help the player base overall. Like, sure, giving money to Arika is good. You know, buying the DLC costumes and all that sort of stuff is great for them to, you know, help with content and budget for future stuff or future stuff to come to FEXL. But the thing is, like, if you don't engage with the product, you're just going to hurt the community as well, because it's going to show in the Steam charts that, you know, there's numbers of people that have bought the game, but then there's like a clear huge gap in the amount of people that are actually playing.
Right. And I think we just, you know, we're always going to promote the crap out of this game no matter what. Like I did last night because, you know, Fighting X Slayer is on sale, everybody, for like, I think it's like $10 right now.
Again, $10, 75% off.
Again.
It's on sale right now on Steam.
And as we said earlier, the only DLC that you have to buy is colors and Mr. Terrence Bogard, because, you know, Terry's from Southtown. He's got to have his money somehow. You know, so. But yes,
at top tier.
You gotta pay for top tier.
You gotta pay for top tier, total pay to win, and then get smacked around by Razzira's Terry.
Yeah.
But, you know, and rollback netcode, amazing community, Wi-Fi LAN indicator. There's a freaking Bible out there. You know, there's a diverse cast of characters. And it's $10. It's the lowest it's ever been.
I think the only big thing that I would really love, that I think would be low effort for Arika to add to make the game, like before they basically stop updating the game, I just want them to add just some basic features, because you know how this game doesn't really have like any tutorial whatsoever. It doesn't give you like, it gives you probably the same amount as Tekken does, and Tekken basically has nothing, like no tutorial, no nothing.
Well, they do have a frame punishment guide that you got to pay for.
Yeah, I'm not counting that. But for example, right, if you look at Arika's official website for FEXL, you can actually see that they have a game manual for Fighting EX Layer. However, the issue is that does not exist in any aspect of the game itself, and there's no way to get to that site through the game menu. And the problem is that that's key information for at least getting beginners like started, or even veteran players to just like kind of understand, like, oh, it's a 6-button fighter. These are some of the rules of the game and how it works. And I think it would throw away a lot of bad impressions and bad takes that people have, because like we saw with our Arneezy stream a week ago or so, people still think the Gogi system is like the gem system and not like what they actually are, which is grooves.
Well, I think
Uh,
that comes back around to, what we were talking about earlier when it came to first impressions, because that's the
yeah,
first. Gogi is generally like you go to character select, you pick your character. Gogi is the first thing that you have to make a decision about. And if you've never played the game, you're making a decision based on absolutely zero information.
yep,
So I think that is one of the first things that sort of gives people that negative taste in their mouth when they're making their first impression. So
yeah.
um I definitely think there should be a little bit more of an introduction into the game's more unique systems like that, and sort of help shatter that barrier to entry a little bit.
I definitely agree. I think even if like as I mentioned, if they just add like on the main menu, just like tutorial, and if even if it just loads up the game manual to their from their website, that would be enough to like just give some sort of indication of like what kind of game is this, right? Of course, I'd love for them to just link my guide and just have it in the game itself, but I know they're not going to do that because it's not official and they haven't sifted through it themselves. But
Hmm.
like it does link to their Facebook page, like on the game menu when you load it up, which is nice. But the thing is, that doesn't give you any information. Like the latest, it just shows sorts by posts, and the first thing you see is like the latest balance changes, but it's not going to mean anything and I don't
Wh-
even think there's
which was forever ago.
yeah, so it's not going to really be useful for someone. And the thing is, like, it does reward people that like to dig and invest in training mode. Like, I think if you're experienced in fighting games and you're a fan of like old school style fighting games, like stuff that's like cheap or feels broken, stuff like that, I think you'll be really happy just trying the game, messing around. But even it just like I said, it doesn't really reward you for like having interest. It rewards you for like digging and discovering. So as a community, we're the ones that have to dig and discover and then document that somewhere so that people that come in that don't have that experience can still get something out of it or see like the bigger picture, right? Because the thing is, there's a big hump when it comes to learning this game. And I think once you simplify it and then you get over that initial hump, I think that's where the magic really happens and becomes like one of the funnest games you'll ever play because there's tons of creativity, there's tons of unique combinations, with like the Gogi and whatnot. Um, I think people just dismiss it too soon and they don't really give it enough credit where it's due because it does a lot of forward-thinking things. Like a lot of people complain in modern games about simplifying stuff or like making things more accessible or like outrageous comeback mechanics, right? And
Yes.
some of the Gogis you see, like if you read it on paper, it looks broken as hell.
Hmm.
Like invisibility, infinite super meter, full screen teleport, right? But the thing is, like, every character can use that, and every option has like massive counters to each of the things. Yes, some stuff is stronger versus some stuff, but that's just just matchups and fighting games in general. Um, the great thing about it too is that it just rewards you for skill. Like it doesn't give you anything. Like if you look at even something as basic as meter, like when you are taking damage, you build like barely any meter at all.
Hmm.
And the Gogi in the game, like there's basically no Gogi that just kind of gives you a way to win or like do 30% when you're low on life. Like yes, there's double face, which gives you super armor when you're at 50% life. But the thing is, you are still the one that has to attack and do make decisions to abuse that armor to get an advantage over your opponent. So I don't know.
It's funny because one of the things that I've sort of been thinking about when it comes to Gogi decks is that its biggest weakness is also its biggest strength, and what that is the ambiguity behind each Gogi decks. Because even if you pick the
Mm,
same Gogi deck, two players might not even utilize that deck in the same way. Like take Infinity for example, you have the option of once you build that 3 meter up, you have the option, okay, I'm just gonna let the meter rip every chance I get because I want to build rage. Or you can say, okay, I'm gonna play a super defensive game, build guard cancel, and then I'm gonna build rage just by using guard cancel. So
yep.
there's a lot of different ways Gogi can be interpreted, and there's a lot of ambiguity. Not even just that one deck in particular, but like across a lot of the different decks. So
Hmm.
um it's weird because it's like that's one of the things that might initially turn people off, I think, but at the same time, once you understand the game and you understand a lot of its base mechanics, that's one of the things that actually draws people in once they've sort of been hooked in like that.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of like people's impression almost feels like they're taking it as, oh, so I have to pick a character and I have to pick a Gogi deck. So it's like they're treating it as two separate things. But the beauty of it is you're just picking like what type of base you want for your sandwich. Like, oh, I want white bread, I want whole wheat or whatever. And then Gogi is just the toppings. Because the toppings
Right.
will go with any piece of bread, right? But the bread is just the foundation. And the thing is, too, a lot of people think it's a character-based game, because a lot of people describe, and including myself, I describe it as somewhat of like a like King of Fighters, Street Fighter hybrid, because there's a lot of stuff that translates over from KOF, and a lot of stuff character-wise that translates over from Street Fighter. But the thing is, it's a system-based game. So once you pick up one character and you get somewhat comfortable with the basic mechanics, that stuff is transferable like across the entire cast. Like, yes, there's going to be slight changes, but it's not going to be anything universal to that character, like in anime games and in games like Street Fighter. So I think
Mhm.
people disregard how, like, the more you learn about the game is, the easier it gets to get better. I feel like versus other games where the more you know, then like the harder it is to get better because there's more intricacies to learn. But because
Right.
of the shared normals and the shared Gogi decks, like once you build like a small foundation of what you know, you can easily build on that because you know where else to go for that information, right? Because it's just you look at the normals and then you just double check a few things here and there and you can kind of get going.
And that's the thing though, not everybody is going to want to invest in that, so we have to
True.
like we would definitely need to find a way to make investing in that something fun, and
Hmm.
way to make it'll definitely help to make people stay, because one people are just going to take a look at this and it's like, oh yeah, it's gems BS, and this looks kind of not that great. But then until
Hmm.
you actually fully take a deeper dive and you're like, holy crap, there's a chick that could shoot out a cannon from her arm, like Mega Man, or something, something like that, or people that like King of Fighters see Terry how that they actually there's a character in a game where he's kind of broken, and he's not that broken in their main game, so things like that.
True. Yeah, and there's like a lot of
So.
cool, like, even if you take it at a casual level, I feel like you can just mash in this game and have fun because it has like the auto combo system that you can turn on. Obviously, and I like how they did it too because it's not like Dragon Ball Fighters where it becomes an intricate part of your game at higher levels. It's actually just get you going to do some cool stuff, but you would never use it if you know what you're doing because it's
Right.
just scaled super super hard,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
only off a certain situation, right? Um,
I remember the first time I was like, "Holy crap! There's an auto coming! Wow, I am never using this ever again."
I
but it's
spent a
cool, right?
whole bar of meter to do 15%.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then you do like a basic chain combo and you've already done more before canceling into anything. Yeah. Pretty funny. But that's the thing, right? It fuses a lot of cool accessibility things, like with the chain system is just very easy to pick. Like if you played Guilty Gear or Marvel series, it's basically like a magic series, and you just do it, and you can start getting damage easily, and it's
Mhm.
relatively universal because if you just chain into a cancelable normal, just cancel into a special, then do a super, right? And
Right.
then once you get better, you can start doing links, and when you get a little bit better at that, then you can start mixing chains and links. And that structure is generally the same across the cast. Maybe you swap out a normal here and there, or you take away a normal, like in Darun's case, obviously big body grappler, you're not going to do the same length of a combo as, like someone like Terry, for example, right? But
Mhm.
the fundamentals of it are still there.
I don't know.
And obviously the route is different, right?
I don't know. I've seen some pretty crazy Darun juggles from TG Nico, and he's got
Oh,
some, yeah,
geez.
he's got
Yeah.
some
Right.
depth. That big man's got some depth in him.
Right. I just mean on the ground. Like once you start the basic combo on the ground, but yeah, once you're in the air, it's up to you.
But I think as I said, I'd like 2021. We're still gonna have the Sugar Series. We're still gonna have the Gogi Classic. They're always
Mhm.
gonna be free to enter unless otherwise noted, but they're mostly gonna be free to enter. We would love new players to come in. Love a lot of returning players to come back.
Mhm.
Because there's some players that we miss. And hopefully we get to see them again at another time. We want to just basically we're just going to promote the crap out of this game because we love this game. We love doing what we do. We love
Yeah.
talking about it. We want to be there to teach those that really want to learn the game, and all we can do is just basically do what we can to show people what we love.
Mhm. I want to give a big shout out to Juicebox as well because he was since he's such a lab monster and he's like a big KOF fiend. He dived into a lot of stuff that I never saw anybody really dig into because he's very numbers heavy. I think he has like a background in engineering or programming, something like that. But he like analyzed like specific things like all the jump heights and ordered it out on the fastest, the highest, all that sort of stuff. Um, and I didn't even realize how many similar things FEXL had in comparison to KOF, which is amazing because then it makes it much easier to relate, like, the speed of the game, explaining the game to newer players in a simpler fashion, so we're not, just dumping paragraphs of info at them.
Mhm.
Um, and then since he's documenting all this stuff, it's nice to see a player like him kind of dissect the game and hit kind of his path from getting from being a beginner all the way to being like pretty like before he stopped playing. And I think he right now he's on Virtua Fighter 5, but before he stopped playing, he was a freaking threat. But he didn't enter any tournaments yet. So I feel like if he just enters the next tournament and he just brushes up a little bit, I think he'd be one of the best players. So
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
So I think I think the we have people, we have, us folks that like to really take a deep dive into the game. We have the great Japanese community that are still showing us things that they've discovered or are doing. So this, Fighting Age Slayer has a lot of depth to it.
mhm.
Even, if folks could actually really take the time to dive into it, which picking up this game is pretty easy. Just mastering it is such an obstacle, actually. You could be pretty godlike with with the things that you do, or you can be like an idiot like that dork Arneezy who just drops juggles all day. Things like that. So
Well, the nice thing about it too, and the thing I think this game has that a few others don't have is that like once you start messing around with the cool stuff, I think some anime games have this, like Eunice, but like you don't have to do like you're not because you're a beginner at the game, you're not limited to the amount of cool shit you can do. Like
hmm
for example, when you start doing juggles with a character like let's say like Hokuto or something or Shirase, and you get that first launch super, so you can go really straightforward and just do like a jumping normal and then land it deep and then do another jumping normal, right? And that's like decent damage. That's like credible damage.
hmm
And then when you get more comfortable with the game, you could do like a grounded combo, right, and get a running dash combo, and you can just do it into a chain. And once you get better with that, you can do like dash jab cancels. You can do it from like a jump normal to a dash jab cancel and get like full corner combos that we're seeing from people like Robib and whatnot, or Razzira with Alan. Um, so it's nice because there's a lot of the difficult stuff in the game you can get by doing like easier variations of it, and the easier variation barely, or sorry, not barely. It gives you quite a bit of damage. You're not really missing too much. Yes, you might not get like the best Oki off of it, but like your damage is still like high. And you can compensate by picking a certain Gogi deck as well, which is really nice. So it kind of gives you a good like you're able to see the ceiling, and then you're able to kind of slowly climb your way up based on your execution level currently, and kind of like how you want to improve and how deep you want to get with it, right?
of course.
Well, it's if you want a good comparison that I think everyone can understand, that can you can draw the same conclusion to it's kind of like having a 3 point line in basketball, where it's you have the option to go for the 3 point, but if you go inside the paint, then you're
Hmm.
still gonna get 2 points, which is not not it's not as good as the 3 points, but it's still pretty good. So it's
Yeah,
and I think that's actually one of the things that makes FEXL, you know, a little bit more approachable once you understand sort of the base mechanics is that you have that option. It's like, okay, I could go for the jab run corner juggle here, but if I go into two mediums into a special, I can do arguably just as much damage, and
true.
it's a little bit more consistent to hit.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right. Well, we're about to get into some deeper discussion because we're doing end of the year tier list. It's been, I think
That time again.
it's that time again. Last one I made was in October. Now, just for reference here, this was my last tier list. Wow, I have notifications. But anyhow, this is my last tier list. This was from beginning of October. USA was number one, as you all can see. And let's see if any of this has changed. Now, you yourself, Razzira, you just recently made one last week. Um,
Yes.
you don't have an S tier, but you just have a top tier, whatever. And
Hmm.
then you have you yourself. You have Terry as the best character, Jack being the worst of the A tier, and then of course all the way down at the bottom you have Kyrie, D
Well,
Dark, and Ayat.
the tier list that I made wasn't necessarily structured in terms of this character is the best and then everybody going down it's ordered that way. I sort of organized
Mhm.
it in a way so that it's more here are the characters in this slot and then these characters like say in A tier for example are comparable but kind of go back and forth based on matchups whereas um a character in B tier versus C tier, B tier has a very obvious, advantage in their matchups.
Mm. Right.
And
Like, so you're saying that within a tier, the matchups can vary based on many factors, like how the player plays, for example, and Gogi, of course, right?
right,
Yeah,
Mhm.
because like for example in A tier, I don't think anybody I think a lot of people are in agreement that Terry and Sharon are top tier, but the debate is basically who's the better character. Well, how can you decide it? I think it's a lot of dependent on the matchup, different Gogi decks, different players, stuff like that.
Mhm. Definitely.
and the Madman Hidden Gem decided to make a character plus Gogi list, which we're not even. I don't. That's a lot. That's a super long discussion that I don't really want to be a part of tonight. To be
And he
honest with you,
posted it at 3 a.m. The man
and
Oh,
didn't sleep.
jeez.
yeah. So, which I kind of agree with his tier list, but we're not. This is gonna be mine with input from you two. So we got to get this out of the way here. So bear with me a moment here.
It's funny. I was looking at Hidden Gems tier list, and as I was looking at it in my head, I was just thinking, the whole basis of this is to pick Double Face.
It
Yeah.
is double face is seriously the best deck in the game.
Oh,
It's
you don't need to convince me. Promise.
oh
I
I
th-
know.
I think it's debatable, but it's definitely top three. Like, definitely one of
No,
the best decks in the game.
it's the best, dude. Seriously.
I don't know. I'm leaning heavily on also being up there because I feel like some characters just abuse the hell out of it, and like you can't stop them. And if you do, it's like you're very lucky to stop them.
You cut
Well,
out you cut out of what deck you was saying.
Oh, sorry, aggro.
Aggro. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, aggro is good. It's an offensive defensive deck. You know, you have the rampage, you have illusion, you
Mhm.
have erase,
Yeah.
and yes,
And
it
chip
is
up, which is
and
actually an overlooked Gogi.
and chip up, yes. But I don't know. I think double face has it. I mean, you basically get a get out of jail free card
Hmm.
with heads and tails, and then of course along with illusion and someone that likes to have a good throw game with grab up and guard cancel is super good.
True.
You know,
well, I
that's
guess as we're discussing this tier list, then the question is, are we factoring Gogi into this year end tier list that we're making? Because if that's the case, then I would. If we're talking about Gogi at all, Double Face and Infinity need to shoot to S tier right now.
We're not gonna. I mean, with my tier list, I don't really factor in Gogi a lot, because if that would be the case, everyone would be here in this huge top row.
Yeah, because I feel like a chunk of characters can be like S tier with a certain deck, and then maybe like A tier with another deck. You know what I mean? And then some are just near useless, like Garuda with Grabmaster. Why would you ever do that?
Why would you pick
Right.
Grabmaster in the first place? But whatever. It was
Wow.
designed for Darun, but it doesn't work that well for Darun, which is weird, which is funny.
Well, it works well for Darun. I just think the problem with Grabmaster is why would you ever pick that deck over something that has a lot that gives you a lot more options, especially in the neutral game? Like, why would
Mhm.
you ever pick Grabmaster when you can just pick Nightmare and have 2 speed ups and run across the entire screen command grab? But
Mm-hmm.
anyways,
Mhm.
Yeah. So, of course, Hayate is in the very obvious section at the bottom, unfortunately, because, well, it's Hayate. No
Well,
matter what Razira has done with this character, um, I
but
mean,
I want to
I
know. I want to
uh,
know, Razzira, what do you think? Like, honest and true about
well,
Hayate.
Well, here's the thing. Hayate's gotten sort of the short end of the stick for a long time, and because of that, I think a lot of what Hayate has been somewhat undiscovered. I mean, we saw, I think, what was it, just maybe 2 3 weeks ago, somebody posted some tech with Hayate where medium slash would literally cut through Skullo barrier. And I don't know how many of you have played Skullo recently, but that Skullo barrier has a massive hitbox. So,
Yep.
and you can slash right through it.
and
So,
a lot of active
um,
frames.
Hayate, it's hard because as I play Hayate, I can see the problems and I can see why people think he's a bad character, but at the same time, I think a lot of what he has is undiscovered, and I think people just sort of write him off without fully trying to digest what exactly he does. Which is why I
True.
sort of, ran Miracle with a bit because I quickly realized Kamai Touch is the most abusable move.
Oh yeah.
Like you can just throw that out with little consequence.
Yeah. Some characters have a lot of trouble punishing you for abusing it.
Hmm.
I mean, you could, if you have guard cancel, that can kind of stop it, but then you have to be in range with the right special move, right? I mean, I don't know, because I feel like Hayate is not a bad character. He's just the weakest in the game.
I would definitely agree that he is the weakest in the game, but I don't think he is entirely helpless. Like the amount of
No.
times that I play online, I hit somebody, they'll block a light combine touch and then immediately eat a DP. Like,
He's playing like ST Ryu if Ryu like wasn't as oppressive, I think.
mhm.
I don't know.
This is actually a good comment I'm reading. By Eddie Bam. Hayate needs fixes, not buffs. I would agree. He definitely needs fixes. Some of those hitboxes that he has on some of his normals are ridiculous.
Yeah, and because I feel like if you just tweak like one or two things about him offensively, I think he'd be a much better character. Like having his air super, if he hits it with it in the corner, having it not be punishable on hit would be
Hmm.
nice. Like at least
Maybe
being like safe.
maybe it could work. It could have the same sort of trajectory, the same kind of pop out that maybe like Super Skullo Slider would have, where it pops you up higher up into the air, so that it still causes the hard knockdown, but they don't land on the ground so quickly that you're immediately punished as soon as they get up.
True. Yeah, even hard knockdown, like you said. Yeah.
And Hayate definitely does. He does need some fixes, and I think he would also benefit getting buffs as well, because that character does need some help. I mean, even as I said, even with the stuff that Razzira has shown us, it's not entirely enough to be like it's more like, why play Hayate when the rest of the cast can do so much better.
The thing is
That
too
is
though, like,
true.
oh sorry, Razira, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that is true. You can continue.
Mhm. Yeah, I just find that with Hayate, he plays quite differently compared to the rest of the cast. There's nothing really that like he gets outclassed by. So it's not like it's not like in other games where you have like a Shoto character archetype, and then there's just like another Shoto character that like literally plays the same way. Like if you played Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, it's not like a case with like Scorpion and Human Smoke, where it's literally the same character except one has a launch and the other does not. So there is definitely value for playing only Hayate compared to other characters, but I feel like if you're struggling in a certain match, maybe you could, not always jump to the character and possibly just switch Gogi decks, which is a thing to do, which is quite nice, and it can drastically impact the character matchup and even the player matchup too. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I think like Razzira said, I think we'll see more of Hayate when more people and different kinds of players touch the game. Because I know Razzira is very offensive when he wants to be, and when I played Hayate, I try to play like a little mid-screen based, but I'm ultimately trying to open you up. So I don't know. I think it just depends on the caliber of player as well and the style. So
Right. And I think if Hayate could be explored more, maybe he's probably hidden mid tier that we don't even know. But
yeah,
we haven't really fully explored. I mean, actually, not every character has been fully explored either. So
no.
maybe if we could just dig a little deeper, maybe we might find quite the gem in Hayate, and we can all just praise Hayate.
Like I've been playing Garuda since the beta, and I'm still finding stuff. Like I wrote the freaking FEXL guide, and I'm still discovering stuff about the character that I've been playing for like 2 years straight, nonstop. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I think the best of the C tier, though, in my opinion, is Kyrie. He's the best of the C tier. His
Yeah.
DP is pretty good. He's capable
Very good.
of damage. There's some stuff I remember seeing Disintegration plus something before that he has like some ridiculous pushback in some of his moves that can make him relatively safe. Things like that. So I think the best C tier is Kyrie.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think because he has like such great space control with his dive kick, or like having the threat of a dive kick, so that you can't really counter zone him,
Mm.
especially for too long. And the nice thing too is that like it hits at a good angle. Like obviously you can't control it, and it's not a special move like Shadow Geist, but it's just in the sweet spot where you can easily throw a fireball, and then to kind of beat their projectile attempt, you just neutral jump or jump forward and dive kick right away, and then you get a combo off of it too. Only weakness with Kyrie I find really is just his if you're not up close, like right next to the opponent when you punish, or if they're not standing, I think the punishes can really lack, and you kind of have to have really strong tight execution to make sure that you capitalize off the hits. But I think generally he's quite strong. He has great ways of spending meter that do a lot of damage,
I know.
and he has the juggle super as well, even as consistent as the top tier, but it can lead to a lot of damage and a lot of core carry. So
Hmm. I
And
think with Kyrie right now, he's got a good base tool set. The thing that's holding him back the most is that a lot of his pressure game is very predictable. It's very kind of flow charty.
mhm.
You have things like jump back heavy or not jump back heavy kick, jump back dive kick, pardon me.
Yeah.
To sort of mix your opponent up in different neutral situations, but a lot of it is, I try to run in, find a stray hit confirm. If you don't get it, what do you really cancel into?
mhm.
Mhm.
If you do get the hit confirm, how are you going to be able to keep the combo going? He doesn't have a lot of options as far as maintaining pressure and a lot of defensive options outside of different Gogi decks aside from DP, which is very punishable.
Yeah. And I think on top of that too, he like his hitboxes can greatly vary the combo that you're hit, and sometimes like it can take just like a few pixels to the right to like make you whiff a fireball combo into the grounded super, and
Yeah.
that can cost you the game some of the time, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know, he's still really solid. He's definitely like what Ryu wishes he could be, but but but
Yeah, let's just have a
he's just
Tatsu that juggles. Yeah, let's just do
yeah, like a Tatsu you
that.
can juggle off of, a Tatsu that can cross up easily. Like off you after you do forward throw, you can instant jump forward, peak of the jump, do a heavy kick Tatsu, and you'll get a cross up every time. Like it's really easy to do and very hard to see. So I don't know.
Well, I think I think after Kyrie, I believe would be D Dark. Now there's a reason
Yep.
why I think that. He does have good zoning tool with Darkwire and explosion and explosive. Because it's a really good zoning slash keep away tool, and of course he has Upwire as well. He doesn't have his normal DP like he used to do back in the EX series. And can you give me one moment, please?
Yeah, I feel like with D. Oh, I thought he was talking to us.
So okay. Oh, you guys heard what I just said. Not what the stream didn't hear. But anyhow, oh my, sorry, it was my kids. Um, the thing is, as I said, with the zoning tools that D Dark has, with the Dark Wire explosive, also with Upwire, really good zoning keep away tools that D Dark has. However, he does have low damage. He
Mhm.
doesn't really have a reversal per se.
Yeah.
No.
However, his if he has what is that? Shinobi.
Mhm.
That one has guard break, right? If I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Mhm.
Guard break and guard cancel, I believe. Yeah.
His guard break is really good. I've seen some pretty interesting things that Rob has done with DDAR. However, there a couple flaws that he has. If you have DDAR going against someone with aggro, um, the explosive can be sweeped,
Mhm.
and you're gonna get hit by that, or if you don't really react to it right away. So I mean, he does have some good tools. It's just that there are other characters that could just really get in there and get in D Dark's face. That's why he's not a bad character. He's
No.
just
I think
he
because
could be better.
I think because mobility is so good and so prominent in this game, and there's a lot of anti-zoning tools. The thing is, D-Dark can zone probably the best in the game out of all the characters that have zoning capabilities.
Mm,
Um, like the biggest threat in the game in like footsie range is dash forward low, right? Because
mm,
that's the biggest where you're going to get pressure. You're going to open the opponent up to a mix-up, maybe a tick throw, something like that. And D-Dark has just an option to stop you from doing that and considering doing a move that goes over bombs or approaching from the air. And his heavy punch Darkwire goes basically full screen,
mm.
and getting hit by the tip of that on the ground just gets you pulled in for a full combo. So yeah, even though his damage output is low, he he can really snowball, and if he can hold a life lead, he can make the opponent do some risky things and just make him play into his hands. Because if you throw a bomb out and the opponent does something risky to try to avoid it, and then you punish him into it, and then the bomb explodes, and you get like a bigger combo into more step play. Even though he was actually nerfed after the beginning of the game,
Oh
in
yeah.
that his EX Prominence bomb super, the big explosion that he has, it didn't allow a juggle anymore because he used to be able to juggle into it and then get a dirtier mix up from it, but now you can't.
Yeah.
So you still get the mix up, you just don't get
I
the
I
damage anymore.
I remember that. I remember
Yep.
when X Prominence was super good.
Yeah, and it's
Heck,
still good.
it's
It's
still
just the
good. It's just not as good as it used to be. Like holy crap, the X Prominence stuff was just dumb back then.
the biggest downside I find with him though is that like you said, he has no reversal. But the biggest downside is that his supers have very little invincible frames, and they don't also knock down early enough. So if you're using it as a reversal against someone with Hades active, they can essentially do something to interrupt the startup or the first few hits of the supers. And the thing about EX Prominence as well, if you use it as a reversal, yes, you're somewhat invincible, but the bomb doesn't come out right away.
Yeah.
So the easiest thing to do is once you block it and then they cancel into EX Prominence, you just hold up forward, the bomb whiffs and you can get a full punish, or you can just like walk forward grab. So it's quite easy to avoid his supers. Like his Dark Knife is quite good for beating out neutral jumps, people trying to bait him, because it has a big vertical hitbox on startup. But the thing is, like, it does very little damage, so it's not a big deal getting hit by it. It's just, a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
When D-Dark gets his main game plan going, you feel like an absolute king.
Yeah.
What holds him back is his inconsistency, in the sense that if you are on defense with D-Dark, you're gonna hold down back for about 5 minutes straight, and you don't have anything. You can't do anything but just hold down back and hopefully wait to either counter poke or tech a throw.
Mhm.
Otherwise, your only other option is reversal super, and we know that if that gets blocked, you're going to eat a lot of damage probably. So he's
True.
good at what he does,
Yep.
but as soon as that game plan starts to fall apart, D-Dark can really get washed.
Yeah. I think the good thing though about him is that his combo, like among the low tiers or the lower tier characters in this game, like Kairi, Hayate, and whatnot, his combos are probably the most consistent. Like every time you get a hit off Darkwire, you will get basically the same combo every time with like little to no error, based on your execution. And the nice thing too is that he's like the only character that can mirrorlessly combo into his heart attack. So if you love the guard break Gogi, he's like your character to pick because he can build it super consistently. He doesn't give up damage because it combos into Dark Knife with super. And having a character like D-Dark with the bomb to threaten proximity guard and then force a block so that you can set up a guard break. Like Razzira had done like thousands of heart attack setups to me back in our offline days, and I just like I'm gonna get hit. Like there's only so many things I can do to avoid eating the guard break. And I remember you doing like 60% damage off a unscaled guard break. So
But if he were, I think if D-Dark would get somewhat balanced, like what if they gave him back his like actual DP, change Upwire into a DP?
I think he'd be too good.
He might be a little too good. Like
That
just
begs the question: do you really want to give a zoning and screen control type of character a a reversal move with iframes?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, Alan exists. Terry exists.
Yeah. But that's like giving like what's her name in
Well, I don't
Grand
think
Blue?
they
Barry?
control the space. I don't think they control the space nearly as much as D-Dark can, because once you get a bomb on the ground, what are you gonna do? Run directly into the bomb? No, you're gonna either wait for it to explode or you gotta jump over it.
Yeah. You can't even like how in Street Fighter you can walk up and block Birdie's can that's rolling on the ground. You can't walk up and block the bomb. You're just gonna get hit because it just stays there. So I don't know. I feel like D-Dark's in a really good place. Maybe if you just I don't know. I think he could just stay the same, to be quite honest.
I'm gonna put Garda next to D-Dark. Sorry, Geki,
Oh.
but Garda's not that good, dude. Despite everything you've done with the character, dude, nobody in Japan even plays Garda.
Not anymore.
Yeah. I think those safe frames off Shuga just aren't enough. He's a good character, but I don't think he holds enough to compete with a lot of the better characters.
I
The
mean,
big problem with Garuda, I find, because like his damage output, especially in the corner, is like very, very high when you go into the Sokodan Fireball Super into the spin, into another one that does like easy 50%. But then that's 3 bars, right? And then the downside is that he has no. A lot of his stuff pushes you too far back, and the slightest miscalculation or miscancel on canceling a special into a super will just whiff. And the requirement for comboing into his Goga can be very inconsistent as well. He does blow up the Hades Gogi quite well, so even though Double Face is quite popular among the competitive scene, he has the tools to deal with that very, very well, especially with Bar, because the nice thing about it is that he has multiple hits in a lot of his moves. The downside is outside of Hades is that means more scaling. So each of the hits will be scaled further the longer the combo is, the more hits it does. And like I said, the hitbox issues with certain stuff just not comboing, like it's just shy of it. So it's kind of like a Kyrie case, but Garuda has more of it because his Shuga can whiff quite easily off of certain chains that are, spaced ever so slightly differently. Even his supers, he might waste a bar by accident. And the downside too is that guard cancel really blows him up because he has very little way of mixing up his offense once someone has guard cancel and meter to spend. He can't really get out of situations like that unless he just doesn't do a special, like maybe he baits with a jab and then he's able to block, but he can't really call out a guard cancel attempt. And then the last thing is that illusion can really destroy him because a lot of his combos require bar to do damage to the point where he can proc illusion in a way that's advantageous. Since illusion got buffed to have slightly more invincibility as well, it makes it even harder for Garuda because a lot of the stuff that activates illusion with the 50 damage, he's basically already spent a bar or part of a bar to get that damage high enough to proc illusion, but then he's usually going to be punished or he's going to have to whiff something or give up Oki from that situation. And it's an immediate switch in the match for the opponent.
At least Garuda is not Hayate bad, so
Yeah,
you can be happy. You can be happy about
mix-ups and cheap stuff,
But fortunately, it's just how the character is. Like, even with a good Gogi deck, it's just how the character is. Fortunately,
Like Razzira, what do you think though about Garuda? Because I know I fought you the most probably out of like everyone that plays FEXL.
Well, I think he sort of falls into a lot of the same traps that Kyrie does, is that he's got a lot of really good tools. I know you've got your cross up DP and your cross up Jazen mix ups that hits a lot of people when they're not expecting it. So he's got a lot of good tools that seem like it should make him a better character, on paper. But the more you play him, as soon as I feel like he's the type of character, like I said, like Kyrie, where as soon as you sort of get a grasp of how your opponent wants to play, and you sort of have figured out the different patterns and you know what to punish, like, oh, I know to expect a DP here because he's going to abuse the large hitbox. Um, it can really fall apart very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah.
Who do you think is next, starting easy?
I think we're gonna be on the B tier side now, but
Really? Okay.
because the thing is, the rest of the cast is really good, in my opinion at least. But I think the best B tier character is Area.
The best B tier. Wow.
Okay, but here's the thing though. I think Area is in like weird spot where she could be top tier, but she's like high mid tier. That's the thing. But from
Yeah,
what
it's
she's in a very because she's at a very weird spot. She could be high mid or very low top. That's the interesting thing about Area because of like some of the setups she can do, some of the stuff I've seen with Cerro Metal, uh, and that's why I think she's like the best, like where she's at now. I think it's like kind of like the best spot for her. I would say at times that she's at very low A tier. But
she's like right knocking on A tier, but I don't know if she's quite there yet.
yeah,
I don't know. I think she suffers too much from the lack of universal options that the other cast, even like Hayate, has better normals than Area does. Like she has chain, but she can't link anything. Like her pressure is immensely fake outside of launching cancer. And then when she launches cancer, she doesn't have an anti-air. She doesn't have any damage basically.
I mean, yeah, I
Plus
mean
two
they
supers that are very telegraphed and not like cancer is good damage and gives you good Oki in the corner, but mid screen like you're just getting launched back for full screen.
and I think she also has like she has really good mobility as well, and
Yeah.
Also, why does Great Cancer do raw 50 damage? It literally has no reason for that, but she just does.
Yeah,
And
like I feel she's very good at what she does. Like she is the Oki queen. Like if you want Oki on everything, like she's there for you. But outside of that, I feel she kind of can struggle hard. But the thing is, Oki is so hard to keep consistent in this game. So the fact that she does have consistent Oki across, regardless of how you want to wake up, and she can bait reversals extremely easily with her cancer. Um, yeah, I think she's really good, but I don't. Yeah, I don't think she's very strong.
I don't know,
Like I
man.
wouldn't put her. I wouldn't put her at the high spot of B. I think there's a few characters that are
I mean,
better.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's things I've seen, like with Stealth Raptor.
Mhm.
Give her something with speed up to make her even faster, her mobility even better. She's got some good setup stuff as well. So I'm just saying. Plus, Great Cancer being raw 50 damage
Yeah, like
with
instantly proccing illusion, right?
can juggle in the corner if you do it right. Or I
Hmm.
mean, things like this. So it's she's got some crazy tools. The only thing that makes her really um kind of one of her biggest flaws is she can't do anything without cancer attached to her.
True.
Wow, that just sounds so wrong when I say that. Without her arm, without her arm attached, without her arm cannon attached to her. That's the only thing. You can't really like when you do upload or download, you kind of just have to like wait in the wings a bit before you can do anything. It's one of her downfalls. But I'm kind of glad that she's kind of got something like that because it makes her a unique character
Yeah.
in her own way. Uh, her cancer is really strong, but without cancer, it's all types of bad news.
Yeah, I feel like she is probably one of the most underexplored because she is the newest character as well. She was the last character to be added to the roster,
Mm-hmm.
and she's also very unpopular as well because of how different she is compared to the cast,
Mm-hmm.
even amongst a cast that has system mechanics and universal stuff that carries over. So I think there's still a lot of room for her to grow, and I think the further we get with Area, the better she's going to be. So.
See, this is the part of the tier list that's really hard, especially because like a lot of the cat, it's like when you put someone in a certain spot and they're like, wait a minute, hold up, why are you doing this? Things like that. So the thing is, that's what's great about having a discussion, and this might have some discussion for where the next character for B tier, at least after area. Thinking I kind of pondered on this a little bit while I was doing this tier list. I'm thinking about I'm gonna put Shadowgeist next to area.
Ooh,
Now,
really?
yes. Now, reason one of the reasons why I put him there. I mean, he's got unfortunately though for the character, he has low damage. However, the fact that Shadowgeist has some pretty interesting tools depending on which deck you give him uh is he can he his overhead and is super amazing. Beta government is freaking plus on block. I have no idea why it is, but it is. That can
Plus
also
32. Yep.
that can also juggle, by the way.
Yep.
And if you have Fantasista Shadow Guys, it's kind of over because you could easily do a reversal projectile for no freaking reason and get meter.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that he's got his low damage, he could be pretty fast and he could give that pressure.
Yeah, his mobility is like through the roof compared to the rest of the cast. Like his heavy kick stomp now tracks from based on the last balance patch that happened at the game,
Mm-hmm.
and his medium and light version can set up cross up setups on wake up. Um, And then on top of that, like you said, he can cancel that if you block it properly into a beta government. That's plus on block, so you got the whole another mix up. He has a 3-angled dive kick that's a special move. He has a freaking anti-air special that just hits all around him above the body. Even has a super consistent combo damage with the Shadow Aegis like shoulder tackle that like hits at every range. And his normals are amazing.
Yeah, he's got some pretty good stuff. So
yeah,
that's why. But he's got that low damage. Got some weaknesses as well. So, but other than that, I mean, I think this spot is a good spot for Shadow Guys in my humble opinion. By the way,
I would put him as the best of B tier, to be honest. But let's see where this goes.
I think Area is better. It's just me saying that's just me. But whatever. But when we're still on B tier. Don't worry, folks. Don't worry, kids. We're still on B tier. I'm putting Pullum next to Shadow Guys.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, despite the fact that her mobility is good and she does have some dirty stuff, it's just I don't know. She's a character I think she just can't really finish in situations, things like that. Maybe even with Thunderbolt, which is the deck that is designed for her, it's where she's at right here. It's just because she's on the cusp of just being middle of the pack, basically.
I think her biggest problem is that she doesn't use super that well outside the corner. Like, you're not really going to see her get 2 bars spent very well. Like, a lot of the time, her 2-bar conversions don't do that much damage outside of the corner. Like, if you do Razzira into the other super, then you can get a good chunk of damage, but that's only in the corner and off a certain hit. And often you're not going to get those hits against most of the cast unless you're like whiff punishing or punishing straight up. Her air mobility is like the best in the game. Like, she will get in on anybody. But yeah, like you said, she just can't finish. Like, she spends super very poorly and very basically, and her DP is incredibly good though, because it does have 2 hits and it has a very good hitbox for stopping cross up jumps. And she can fake you quite well, like on wake up with like her bunny hop in the air, plus the double jump, plus the Iori back medium kick. But yeah, I think it's really going to depend on the deck you pick and then the playstyle of the player. But I think overall she's like super solid, very good, but
just not good.
Not oppressive. Not oppressive.
I might have to put Darwin next to her. But
I don't know.
Darwin also has some pretty neat stuff as well as damage. And I've seen what Nico can do with this character. But I'm not gonna put Darwin in the B tier. But we'll deal with them later. Because I think we're done with B tier for this one for now. Because now the thing is, what's really interesting about the A tier is that a good chunk of the cast belongs in that A tier, and the first character I'm gonna put on A tier is Jack, because he just stays at that spot. This character has never moved.
That's fair.
He has never moved from this spot like since launch, and is weird. Like, how is it that a character could just stay at that same spot other than Hayate?
It's because no matter what you do, if he touches you one time and he has meter, even if it's just 1 bar, you're losing 40%.
That too.
No matter where you are on the screen.
Yeah, he's got good juggle. He can, even though people don't use his final punch that much, it's still got damage, and he just looks cool as well.
What's funny though is that like the only nerf he received throughout the entire game, or the only change really, was his command grab got nerfed. Like, well, command grabs in general got nerfed to have a slower animation. Because before, if you guys didn't know, at launch, command grabs had the same animation as regular throw. but you couldn't tech them because they're command grabs. So, and the thing about Jack's command grab is one of the best in the game because it gives you a safe jump into a mix-up that lets you go for another command grab or a fake cross-up or empty jump low. Like, it's the perfect dream for anyone that's wanted a command grab in a fighting. And the only downside now is that it's a little bit slower. So if someone tries to throw and you try to command grab in the same frame, you're gonna get thrown. But Jack is still a devastating bully with a bat and a boot. So
Yeah, if you eat light, medium, heavy into his drop kick, oh man, you're gonna eat a lot of damage, even with just one bar.
yeah, and you think like a character like Jack, because he's the only charge character in the game with charge specials, charge supers. But even with that, doing his juggle combos, he doesn't really suffer because he has plenty of motion moves too that give him great Oki, great damage, and the execution for his high damage is not that high compared to the rest of the top tier. So
it's amazing that Jack does not have charged supers.
yeah,
They're all motion. he is his he only has like he only has 2 charge moves.
and the hitboxes are huge.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
Stupid, but anyhow.
Yeah.
It's Jack is until like some sort of change happens, Jack is just gonna stay at that same spot. No matter what 18 Go has done with his character, he's gonna stay in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, his
Yeah.
command grab was the only thing that got changed. That was it.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. Jack is still in the same spot 2 years later, y'all.
What's funny too is I think he's a little underexplored as well. Like outside of 18 Go, I think no one else has really put in the amount of work that he has. So I think there's still room for him.
Yeah, I think so too. And I know Jashido's gonna get mad at me for this because I'm supposed to downplay this character, which fortunately I'm not able to because of everything this character has done, and how much more potential this character will definitely have in the future. I put my girl right here, not because it is not total bias on my part or anything like that. It's because she's that good, even with Stealth Raptor as well.
The only thing that Blair is missing from a kit to make her top tier is a projectile. She has all the other options that you could possibly need. Do you want a consistent anti-air that you can convert it into? Sure, you have crouch heavy punch. Do you want a DP with iframes? You got it. Do you want really consistent hit confirms off shoot kick? Well, you got those too. Do you want high damage? Sure, why not? We'll throw that in the mix. You have a lot of different options for Blair. So
you want to juggle a free meterless juggle that carries you to the corner with a proper sequence? Do you want a plus on block unique attack that you can squeeze into any chain you ever wanted to? Like
you want a command you want a command normal that has upper body invincibility? Sure.
Yeah. that pulls your hurt box back.
Why?
Yeah,
not?
I mean, if there's she's definitely a character that has all the options to compete. Like I said, all she's missing is the projectile and more intangibility frames.
Can you imagine if Blair got buffed to the point where shoot kick was plus, she was able to do an air grab and she could double juggle shoot kick? Can you imagine?
My God.
If there was no gap between the different Rekka points on shoot kick, it would be an absolute nightmare to play against that character, especially online.
Yeah. I do wish though, like this is not a buff for Blair, but I do wish that her light and medium shoot kick had a use because technically they're useless when you can always just juggle versus not juggling. Like I wish like maybe that they did a hard knockdown or something like that, or like the light one hits low, like on the last hit or one of the last hits or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like they should be just made to be useful, maybe not strong, but just to be useful, because I just don't like games that are movesets that have like an outclassed option. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, but I mean,
But she doesn't need it. It's just for my own needs.
yeah, exactly.
Your own
Your
needs.
own needs. Your own needs. Yeah.
Yeah, she
Okay.
doesn't need anything. She's good.
I mean, yeah, she is really good. I remember at launch she was like top 3.
Oh yeah, especially with Babel at the time. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
when Babel was oh man, Babel.
1.0 Babel Blair absolutely ran a train wreck through everybody.
And you know what's
Mhm.
funny? I ran double face at that time too. So
Of course.
This was back
ah,
when double face armor activated and you didn't need to be at half health.
I
Oh,
know, right?
jeez.
Man.
True.
Oh God, just let Blair have a command grab.
Stop.
Let her have a safe shoot kick.
No. Why? It juggles already. What more do you want?
The last thing
Exactly.
that Blair needs is more mix-up options. You're gonna get hit for 40% almost no matter what you do. She does
Let's
not
have
need mix-up options.
let's have the startup frames of shoot upper be better. Yeah, let's just do that.
Like, imagine if Cammy could launch you every time she hit you. That's what Blair is. That's what Blair is.
All right, so the next character after Blair would be Sharon. No, no,
Sharon.
What?
no.
Where is
We're about-
Scullo in this?
hold on. I'm gonna put him. I'm gonna put him up on here. Don't worry. Actually, it's this was it would I would say Sharon, but then again, I realized that Shirase exists,
Uh-huh.
so I'm gonna put Shirase next to Blair. I'm just glad that she doesn't have her old command grab because
Oh yeah.
that thing was dumb. Like
Mhm.
her command grab, it was really fast, and then if you block wrong, you're kind of SOL.
Yep.
I made a comment at Frosty Faustings 2019 on commentary where I said Shirase is a fair and balanced character.
I'm gonna need a clip of that. I need a clip of that.
Yeah, that was a thing when I said that. So
Wow.
it's she's still really, despite the command grab nerf and all that, she's still really good. You know, she's still a very strong character where she's at. She can be a real threat
Mhm.
in the right hands. It really can because
Yeah.
True.
she's got good
She
juggle
has
options as well. Yeah.
She basically has everything outside of reversal. Like
I
amazing movement, great normals, great super conversions, like meterless mix-ups that you have to block that convert into more damage.
Yeah, she's got a lot of the same kind of tools that makes Hokuto a headache to deal with in especially when you're in pressure. But then on top of that, she also has a few other extra options outside of what Hokuto does, which
Mhm.
just sort of adds that extra layer of, guessing, what do I need to block? What do I need to look out for? Um she
True.
has a little bit more utility behind her special moves, so I would definitely think that she is an A tier for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this was the famed night I said Shirase is a fair and balanced character. I put it in the
Oh, I'm
chat for
saying
anybody. uh, I think someone in the Discord told me to say it, and I just like this is like before I left for Frosty. He's like, yeah, just make sure you say that. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll say it. I'll say it. Don't worry. Is and all right. Sorry about that. So that was a time back then. Um, I mean, despite the fact that some, as I said, still a strong character despite her command grab nerf. It's just how it is. But I'm gonna put Sanane next to Shiraze. Let me tell y'all, this character is a threat.
Yeah.
This character is a threat. She's a bully. She's very mean. She's her power pole is like it goes super far.
You get a face full of stick.
Face full of stick. It destroys projectiles. However, the
She's
stick it destroys Scullo barrier.
she's the Regina George of fighting.
So the who?
The Regina George from Mean Girls. She's Rachel McAdams.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that movie, so
And you are above 30, you man. You liar.
I've seriously never seen it. I know of
Oh,
it.
you gotta do
I've why?
Well, I appreciate you guys keep making me feel like I'm still young.
it. Damn, Arnie's, you gotta get on that. After this call, you kids.
What? It's
It's a good movie. It's a classic.
anyhow.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree. I think Sanane in particular, Sanane is an interesting case because she was a character that not a lot of people have really been playing, at least not consistently.
Yeah.
It's been up to a small handful of people to really experiment with that character and figure out, what she's really capable of. And I don't know how many of you guys have seen Twitter for like the last 2 weeks as far as FEXL is concerned, but all of it has been Sanane tech.
Yep.
It's like every second day I'm opening up the app and I'm seeing some kind of new tech for this character.
Yeah,
So there is
disintegrate.
a lot of different things that you can do. There's a lot of creativity you can do with this character. And a
Yeah.
lot of it usually results in you continuing to control the neutral game. Holding on to that pressure, especially a lot of even the older Sanane tech still works. Like Infinity Sanane, once you build Rage, what are you gonna do about having the stick thrown at you from full screen?
Yeah. That you can control.
That you can control, that can reach full screen. That it basically destroys Skullmania's backdash.
Imagine a game where you could throw out Aegis, like Urian's Aegis from Third Strike, but then have it fall on the ground and then come back up later to use, or send it full screen and have it keep going, or send it up in the air and send it down on the ground. Like,
It's Aegis with three different options of movement.
yep,
You want it active? Sure. Let's have it go all the way. You want it to stop midway through the screen? Okay, you can do that too. You want it to drop to the ground so you can activate it later? Sure, that works too. And that kind of plays into what I was talking about when it comes to creativity because you have so many different options, especially when you get that one particular super out. Like
yeah,
this character can be a nightmare to guess against what you need to do in neutral in order to defend yourself.
yeah. She's like one of the only characters that can honestly set up a freaking ambiguous like heart attack setup, because her heart attack goes extremely far. I think the farthest in the game, or one of, and you have to block it because you're already blocking the stick being thrown at you, so you have to block the next thing that comes. So, and the
Mhm.
thing is, her basic combos do good damage. Her combos are straightforward. They're not very complicated. Like a lot of the time, it's just you're doing a chain into her stick rekkas, and you're doing the light one usually into the up stick that comes into super, or you're doing some corner setup that covers many options, and she just gets the job done. She has tons of great aspects. The only weaknesses she really has is like a really bad unique attack and in a very slow overhead, probably worse than Hokuto. And Hokuto's overhead is already trash, but like this is like even worse because it has no range. Um,
Yeah, but
and her sweep is very unsafe, and canceling into that slow overhead will just get you punished a lot of the time.
I
But
mean,
having that weakness is like nothing to worry about.
I've actually lost count of how many people got hit by that overhead though. So
Yeah, there's not a lot of times where you really need to utilize that overhead because your heart
Oh,
attack just on its own is already so strong. Because, like you said, it reaches pretty far. It has a pretty or it has a pretty fast startup. And on top of that, once you have that super out, you can just cancel, make yourself safe. Um, so
true.
it's a weakness, but I don't think it's a very crippling weakness.
No, it's just kind of like a tool that she can't use when she already has everything she needs to do what she does best.
Mhm.
Um, it's just because like the thing is, you know how other characters like Garuda, Kairi, Hayate, They're lower tier, but they have a universal sweep that can low profile and kind of go under stuff that a lot of characters can't, and it's safe
Right.
on block as well. And some of them can cancel into a unique attack to kind of bait the check or poke back attempt. But Sanani just can't do that. But the thing is, she doesn't need to do that because she's already winning in many other ways. So
Yeah, and another
Mhm.
weakness that she has, you can just go through the middle of her staff. So,
yeah.
but other than that, she's just really good. She's a
Hmm.
really strong character. I used to underestimate her back in the day, and then I learned the hard way. I actually used to put Sanane in low mid tier, and then I got the crap beat out of me for that. So it was a fun
There you
time.
go.
It was a fun time. And a lot of the stuff that we've seen on Twitter lately is, yeah, as Razzira said, it's basically just been Sanane tech and really making people think that she's S tier, even though she's not. But she's a very very strong character. She's basically a threat to a lot of characters, even against the top tiers. Even those that are better than her,
Hmm.
she's
Mhm.
very very strong character. So
I'd honestly put her up next to Blair. Like between Jack and Blair, I'd put Sanane because she's just so good and not hard to use at all. At least in the context of getting her offense going. But she just her ceiling for what you can do and discover is just so high. Even compared to like Shiraze, who has like tons of juggle options and different Oki and mix up. Um, Blair just kind of doesn't have that. Like what she yes, she has great normals and great pressure, great speed, and good damage, but like I don't know, she just forces Tsunade forces you to deal with so many situations that the other two characters you don't have to deal with because you just have to worry about one approach or one version of offense.
right,
Yeah, that's a good point.
that is a good point. This is why I
Because
hate.
when Shirasei comes at you, you kind of have to you sort of know what her options are,
Yeah.
especially like in blocking. Whereas Sanane, you literally have 42,000 different options. Do you want to go into stick, or do you want to go into super? Do you want to go into overhead? Like you have a lot of different avenues that you can take
Yeah.
in the neutral game.
And the thing is too, like you against Jack, the reason why you don't want to be next to him is because he has a command grab that he can threaten with that gets him more offense. But Blair and Shirase can't force you to eat their throw mix up or command grab offense. Like they just have to go by normally attacking you, and their overheads aren't even that great either. Like they're good overheads compared to the rest of the cast, but like they're not oppressively amazing. And they kind of have to snowball their situations and make the right reads and whatnot. But Sanane, she can force you to deal with certain stuff. Like she can make you block and make you deal with command grab, make you deal with overhead, make you deal with a cross up or whatever setup it is, right? So I think just her versatility really puts her above those other two characters.
Hmm.
Mm, that is a really good point.
Yeah,
Think.
I would agree. I would
Mm,
say I would agree that Nane probably belongs somewhere between Blair and Shirase. Yeah, I would think that would be agreeable because Shirase is really good once she gets in. But the thing is, in order to get in, you sort of have to find and you sort of have to find an opening within your opponent's defense rather than just make them guess wrong.
Yeah, and Sanani on top of that too, she doesn't have to get in. She can just zone if she wants to. Like she can anti-zone the zoners and then also stop people that can't deal with zoning. So like she can play any game she wants and do well. Whereas like Blair and Shirazé have to play a certain like basic level before they can kind of run like the rest of their offense and what the character can do.
Mhm.
yeah, see, this row is one of the hardest rows.
Oh, and the last thing I'll say is that Sanane has stuff that is basically unpunishable, like with the pushback of her stick. But Blair and Shirazé can always be punished if you block correctly.
Sure, I'm down for a Sanane only tournament. But anyhow, yeah, I think I'm moving her. Yeah, I'll just move her between Blair and Shiraze. That's
Okay.
and I agree with that. I think. I mean, shit.
You're out of options now.
But I think the next one we can just all agree on is Sharon.
Really?
The only reason,
Really?
oh, hold on, the only reason why she's not higher is because she runs out of bullets, and she's lower tiered. So I have there in basic consensus that if she has she has bullets, she's really good. She has possibly one of the fastest backdashes in the game. It's almost as good as Rose's SF4 backdash. Almost.
Yeah. The thing is, she goes not as far as Shadowgeist and Scullo, who have like amazing backdashes, but it recovers so much faster.
Mm-hmm. And then double face Sharon is kind of a problem too.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
I mean, if we're thinking about Sharon using double face, I would almost put them in S tier
Nah.
because even if no, well, no, because here's the thing: even if you have bullets, well, if you have bullets, regardless of how many you have left, as soon as Sharon is airborne, immediately you have to guess, is she going to shoot a bullet, or is she going to just go for a regular jump, or is she just going to go for an empty jump low and block, or you have so many different things that you have to consider. So I don't I don't know if I agree with putting Sharon in A tier solely for the fact of because while she has bullets, she has so many different ways of approaching you.
Yeah, but I really wouldn't put her in S tier though.
I would put her at the bottom of S tier, or like, yeah, I honestly think she's like top 4 character. She's stupid good.
Because
Like,
where she is right now, you have to consider. Yeah, here's the thing. Do you think Sharon overall is a worse character than the people that she's currently below?
Kind of. Like,
yeah, I agree with Razzira. I feel like because she has things that it doesn't matter how good you are, you're gonna block a bullet and eat a mix-up. Doesn't matter how good you are. Eventually, you're gonna block one bullet, and then she gets to run whatever she wants. And
you
the
know what?
options that you have as a player to deal with those bullets are a risk on your part, and then she can punish you if she knows you're gonna go for that. And when she knows you're gonna go for that, because that's the only way to deal with her bullet. So I don't know.
You know
She
what?
has to be higher.
Let,
If
let's
she if
let's
she
let,
was
let's go back to her later. How about that? Let's
Okay.
go back
Okay.
to her later because
Okay.
I have to do a little more thinking at least.
this is a huge can of worms that we're opening right
I
now.
know
Yeah.
we're this is where we're at right now. But I will say, I will say though that I'm gonna put Hawk. I would put Hawk down next to Shiraze as well, despite the fact they're almost the same character, even though they're not the same character.
Yep.
I
I would
would
say
put
that.
her. I would put her there. And
She's
Yeah, I
extremely
think that's
solid.
agreeable.
Mhm.
whoops, there you go. My mouse was being weird.
Oh, I
I
see that
think
too.
I definitely think that Hokuto overall is not as strong of a character as Shirase's, simply for the fact that she doesn't have as many tools. She doesn't have as many tools that have various forms of utility. Like I think Shirase has a few extra layers that sort of give her the edge there, but I think those two characters in particular are very comparable,
Yeah, I mean they're
I think
especially when you're considering especially if you're looking at things like just raw damage output, for
yeah.
example, then like they're definitely comparable in that avenue.
Mhm. I think the biggest thing about them too is that like I think Hokuto, if you take away the damage, I think she has a better kit overall for dealing with more situations. But the thing is like having that DP palm, I can't remember the name of it, but the palm that Shirazade has is like the key to getting consistent juggles anywhere on the screen that don't give up damage based on the position of the combo. But Hokuto, she really needs like a specific situation or a specific hit to get the damage that she needs, and it's not always consistent because of spacing in the corner. She has great Rekka pressure that she can cancel out of to bait to also keep Babel. Shirazade can't do that. She has to hard commit if she goes for the Rekka, and it's punishable on block in any way you take it. But Hokuto is this like little mind game that's actually really quite valuable, I think. But it's just her damage routes are much lower overall than Shirazade, and Shirazade can destroy fireballs easily from mid screen and also punish with the DP palm because it eats fireballs for breakfast, and you can get in with it and you can get damage, and the conversions are easier to do, I think, for just the same amount of damage that Hokuto needs for much higher execution. So
Skullomania is next.
Really?
That's a take, I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, here's the thing: his DP is really good, his invincible startup, and it's behind as well. His barrier has so many active frames, which it's kind of dumb. But it can't. Of course, the barrier can be destroyed, and his back throw, you can do a safe jump off of it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of dumb. Because why is it that everybody... So, for those that don't know, back in the day, I'm going to use Blair as an example since I cheesed the crap out of it so much. Her back throw gave less pushback. So that's a free ambiguous cross up.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that Skullomania can do that?
I know, that's true. His back throw is totally a safe jump.
It is.
You
How
forget
many?
tech
How
one
many?
time and now you're guessing.
How many times has Wavy done that to all of us?
That's
lot.
part of his game plan, honestly. Like literally find one back throw. You're not ready for the tech. Boom. Now you're guessing. Are you gonna eat a jump in or are you gonna eat another back throw and start guessing again?
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I think Wavy doesn't even mix it up enough, like on his back throw options. Like he doesn't go for empty jump low. He doesn't go for, you know what I mean? Like there's a ton of stuff he could be doing that he's not doing. That I bet after saying this, next time we see him play, he's gonna do even more.
And then we're just gonna blame it all on you, Geki.
Yeah,
This
I
is
know.
gonna be the new lab experiment. Yeah, because like as soon as he has a safe jump, you're immediately put into that guessing game where you guess wrong. You could easily be eating just another mix up, or you're gonna eat a lot of damage that's going to corner carry you. In which case, you're eating a mix up anyways.
Yeah. Well, and the great thing too is that Skull is like one of those characters that doesn't really need to do corner combos to get his high damage. But the fact that he has corner combos, like especially, and like Razzira, you've seen this too, like doing combos into Skullo Ball do so much damage.
Even just one skull ball in the corner is enough to like completely change your combo game because
Yeah.
you immediately go from doing 35 to 50%.
Yeah. It like the threat level is at the level of Sharon's bullets, but one time.
Mm-hmm.
And it costs bar. So it's not as good, obviously, and you can't angle it, but you can change the timing. So depending on the punch button you press, it'll change when the Skullo Ball comes down. I don't know. I feel like he's a little gimmicky, but at the same time, his solid stuff is really good, and he can really make the opponent feel frustrated, as we've seen with Wavy. But he has options for pretty much everything. And he's also very difficult to zone. Great mobility. Yes, his walk speed is slower, but you could just run and backdash a lot to really stay slippery. So.
Yeah, Skullo is a very slippery character. I mean, I've seen some stuff not just from Wavy, but from Dr. Mino as well. And Scullo's a very interesting character, but I put him up here because of what people have done with this character. Uh, I mean, his back throw is possibly one of the best in the game because it's a safe
Yeah.
jump, and his barrier has a lot of active frames. Scullo Ball can you can get massive damage with Scullo Ball. It's his DP is really good. He has a command grab, even though it sucks. And you can just neutral jump it. But I mean, he has the only thing he doesn't have is like a projectile.
Well, he doesn't really need a projectile considering that he can slide underneath most of them from full screen.
Yeah.
He has a really good anti-projectile game, I feel. So even if he doesn't have one of his own, he's able to get around, the other cast pretty effectively just because of, even at full screen, like you have a lot of options. Like if you do if you do like the heavy version of Kara command grab from Skullo, even if your opponent is walking backwards, you'll still connect.
Mhm.
So like projectiles are definitely not safe against that character.
Yeah. I feel like you need to really unlock the command grab potential. I think more Skullos need to use Skullo Ball with that so that you basically force them to eat the command grab or take Skullo Ball damage, which obviously no one wants to do, but
Hmm.
I don't know. And the thing is, like, he does suffer a little bit compared to the rest of the cast when he doesn't have meter, but his supers are incredibly versatile, and he has tons of options and routes to go off of, and he has great Oki, like some of the best Oki in the game, like hard knockdowns on meterless slide, on barrier. Like he has a super for every situation, basically.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing. But his. I mean, despite the fact that his Skullo Chakiov is crap, he's still a good. He's still a good thing. He's still a good character.
Hmm.
I mean, I always hate to admit it, but he is. I mean, it's just that a lot of stuff that we're now seeing that we've seen. He's a very gimmicky character, and not a lot of people can actually figure like if you're playing against a Skullomania player that actually knows what they're doing, the gimmicks are really gonna just frustrate you.
It's just like seasoning on, or just seasoning on like a sandwich. It's just like you don't really need to have it, but it's just there.
Yeah. All right, so this one's gonna be kind of difficult. I'm gonna put V Rosso and Darun somewhere at the bottom of this B tier or A tier. I'm sorry. Uh, but the thing is, I think Rosso is would be the next character just because of the fact that
Yeah.
he's got the short hop mix ups. He's got the Tower of Babel as I don't remember what the name of the movie. I think the super is
Mount
called
Vesuvius.
I think it's like Vesuvius. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like Tower of Vesuvius, I think, something like that.
yeah. And
It's all Italian. All his moves are in full Italian, so it's like
yeah,
really hard to pronounce.
yeah, he's got like an A something Ato, I think is his top or whatever. I don't remember.
Hmm.
But the thing is though, Rosso used to have it where his fireball setups actually did more damage, but they nerfed that. Uh,
Hmm.
but that got nerfed. Still a pretty strong character. You have his however his like the dash move that he has, it can be telegraphed.
Hmm.
Excuse me, uh, things like that. The his weaknesses is sometimes just trying to get in sometimes, but other than that, I mean, he's a solid character. He's not bad. He's just everyone else can do better things. His fireball setup is good because you got to have something that will actually beat that out, like guard cancel. Sometimes a DP does not beat out the fireball setup, but there are ways around that. That's why I put him where he's at.
Well, and like area, like his Oki is like the best in the game or one of the best in the game. But the thing is, like his doesn't require a robot arm, and he doesn't have to use it once and then it's gone. He can repeat rinse and repeat a lot of his setups, and they just lead to stuff you have to make a choice defensively, and you might get out of it with a punish. Like if you stand block at the right time on the hop kick, you can check it, or if you just check it before the kick comes out, you can do that too. But that requires, focus on giving up, checking him on low, or getting hit by the fireball, or getting baited. Yeah, you're always at a disadvantage when you get knocked down in the corner versus Rosso, and he can carry you to that corner super easily with that Rekka series. That Bruce Lee kick that he does at the end of it is just immense corner carry and great Oki. Like, I don't know, once he gets going, he's very, very hard to stop. And I feel like if you don't have something like guard cancel or a reversal, you're gonna have a hard time.
Yeah.
And his only downsides are really just he has no unique attack to kind of mix up the opponent on offense. And his sweep is very slow and quite unsafe. And he doesn't really low profile anything. But other than that, he has excellent anti-air conversions, great normals, great chain, great supers. Super that can side switch to give him great Oki, as Razzira's shown us so many times. Short hops for days, like I don't know. He has basically everything you need for a mix-up character. He's just so good at it.
Shout outs to Dat Boy Chia for kicking my shit in all the time every time we played. Just shout outs to him for that. Hope he comes back. Now I'm gonna put Darren here. I don't feel like explaining why Darren is there, but we all know why Darren is there.
Yeah, if anyone's gonna cap off A tier, it has to be Darun.
I mean, I've seen some pretty nice things with this character. I mean, his SPD has a lot of his super SPD has some really good damage. Too bad that his command grab does not adhere to the rules of Babel. I mean, can you imagine if he had like 20 stacks of desperation and then he just does SPD? You're just dead.
Oh, geez, one command grab and half your life is gone.
To be quite honest, I think Darun is a little explored in some decks. Like we've seen the obvious, like Thunderbolt, Nightmare, Grandmaster, Juggernaut, stuff like that. Like he's quite solid and has a high ceiling for stuff you can discover and juggle into and setups. He has a command grab for every situation, and his Gungus DDT being buffed in one of the recent patches where it catches people who are crouching.
Like that is dumb. Sorry,
that is crazy.
I don't know why you would have a command grab where you are clearly jumping, but it gets crouching opponents. That's stupid.
Like in that, like poor Alex in Street Fighter V has to use V trigger to get a DDT like that, and it still whiffs on crouching opponent. Like, I'm sorry, like Darun just has it. He has everything. He has a command grab that side switches, does a chunk of damage, good Oki. He has a command grab SPD like move that does tons of damage, that has immense range when you car cancel it, like juggle super that goes from like basically any conversion if you want it. Great sweep with like huge forward range, and even though it's unsafe, the pushback is very far, so if you space it well, like you're not going to get punished.
The juggles from Super Indra Bridge is very nice too.
His parry as well, his chest bump that absorbs any projectile, any hit, and can parry it away or chest bump them away so that they can't get in once you parried everything. Like he has like so many tools, and he really doesn't get that much credit for having even has like an anti-air grab that like stops jumps and side switches. So if you're trying to jump at him when you have him cornered, boom, you're in the corner and you're next to a grappler. So
yeah, and it usually results in a safe jump as well. So now you're gonna end up guessing.
Yeah, that's
true.
That's
and his
beauty.
just one last thing, his punishes for calling you out for trying to avoid command grab are immensely huge. Like his jump heavy kick is so abusive. Stand roundhouse like covers the entire upper area of the screen, and you can super cancel it, so you're gonna eat a juggle. Can't get out.
There's one thing that I've learned to fear. It's to fear the jump roundhouse of any grappler character.
Yep. True.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, this is going to be one of the longest discussions that I've ever been a part of. Is these three characters are going to be in S tier.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fun part is where they're going to be at.
Sharon's number 3.
Okay, fine. Sharon will be number 3.
I just think there's no way that she could be better than Terry or Alan, because she does have the best screen control out of the top tiers and out of pretty much the entire cast. But the thing is, it's limited.
Mm-hmm.
And the more she does it, the less often she's gonna do it because she wants to make it count.
Right. She doesn't have. I
And
mean, imagine if she had the reload like she did in
oh my god, fuck no.
EX. Oh
Even
man.
even if the reload costed bar, she would still be not as good as Terry and Allen. Like, because outside of bullets, she's sort of basic. She's kind of like a Blair style, like with no mix up at all, basically. Like, yes, she has the Gale Hammer Fist that she can just do one to kind of stagger the opponent, and she can convert into the half moon kick to like mix up. But the thing is, that's all unsafe, and there's all gaps in that stuff. So she doesn't really have a way of kind of forcing her way in, unlike Blair does with like the Tegatana medium
Right.
punch.
Right.
But yeah, her supers are amazing. Great damage, great, amazing Oki. Like hard knockdown on Dark Hellfire, and then on the Sharon combination that puts you right next to her. But yeah, she's just like a little held back, but she basically has everything you need. So
Right. Now, the last time back in October, one of the biggest discussions was who was better between Alan and Terry. This has been kind of a debate for quite a while now because both characters are really good. It's just that we have Terry with his slow movement,
mhm.
but then you have Alan who does not really have a very reliable anti-air. Plus, he yells propaganda at you.
Always a downside.
That could be a downside for some people. Terry, on the other hand, he can convert crouching heavy punch into power geyser.
Yeah.
Why? And then, oh yeah, let's just make power geyser multi-hit. Oh yeah, let's give it juggle properties too.
Well, the thing about Terry too is that because Alan has Justice Fist in that it converts from basically anywhere on the screen, and it does a lot of damage, especially up close. But the thing is, Terry has Burn Knuckle that also can combo at the same ranges without giving up the punishable aspect of it. Like you can space it so it's actually plus, which is insane.
Right.
And it leads to a conversion anywhere. You can use it as an anti-air. You never see an Alan do anti-air Justice Fist into triple break, right?
Well,
The thing is, like,
because
Terry can hit you anywhere on the screen, and you will eat like 40, 50, 60% based on the deck and combo that you go for. But Alan, he needs certain hits to get the damage that he needs. Mind you, like he can get it very often because of his good normals, good movement speed, and being mobile in FEXL and good movement speed is obviously very important. But Terry can just hit you in so many different ways that it kind of makes him like the slightest bit higher than Alan, in my opinion. Just the slightest bit. Like if you could move it by a pixel, I would move it by a pixel.
Yeah, they do. The thing, Terry and Allen have a lot of similar game plans. They have a lot similar combo structures, especially when we're talking about their offensive game. But I
Mm-hmm.
think Terry just has that little bit of edge because he has that little bit of extra utility. Um,
Yeah.
just in the neutral game, especially like you said, he's got more reliable anti-airs in the form of crouch heavy punch, in which you can convert, do a full combo. Whereas Allen, what does he have? You either block or you DP.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Terry can
I guess
also
what I guess the question here is what has more weight, mobility or potential damage output across multitudes of different scenarios.
Well, here's the thing: like Terry can also cancel on the super from rising tackle, which is just also pretty dumb.
Because the thing is, when Alan is gonna get punished, right? He can't really do anything to stop that situation from happening. Yes, he can, go into Fire Force or something like that. But like, if he's blocked, if a triple break gets blocked or Fire Force gets blocked, like you're gonna your the options that you can go for as the aggressor with Alan, like you can't really do anything that's like unorthodox or like hard to that you have to really think about punishing. Like whereas Terry, he really forces you to like either get everything down to the frame for a punish, because if you block rising tackle and you punish him within like a few frames on the ground, he will cancel power geyser to punish you. So unless you do an air to air punish, which is always less damage than a grounded punish, then he's going to get away with a lot of murder. Plus, he has Buster Wolf. He can force his way in with it. And then, do you risk blocking the next attack, or does he cancel into Power Geyser to punish your punish, right? Alan can't really do that mind game with any of his supers. And even if he hits you, he's not going to get a combo, because usually the thing he's going to cancel into is from into Fire Force, because that's safe somewhat. And if it hits, he just gets sent flying back full screen nearly. But Terry, he'll get a juggle off of it. So
I think it's that the thing is, with Alan, Justice Fist is one of the strongest moves of the game. However, it has the worst recovery in the game as well, despite the fact that Alan does have that pressure.
Mhm.
Because you can really get in and do that pressure. It's just that if someone does a Justice Fist and you kind of messed up, you're gonna get punished for that. Um, and things like that. So it's whether it's mobility or potential damage or utilities for the character could make or break, which one's the best one out of those. That's kind of hard to decide. It's just that I think at the end of the day, in my opinion, I think Terry can do more than Alan can.
And the thing too about it is that I would give the edge to Alan a little bit if his command grab was better. Because the thing is, Terry is a command grab. Like Terry doesn't have a command grab in any game, to my knowledge. But he has a command grab in this. And not only he has a command grab, his command grab leads to a safe jump that's right next to you. So you have to eat whatever thing Terry decides to do, empty jump low, like whatever we saw with Scullo. It's the same thing, but it's Terry. So Alan is a command grab, but outside of the corner, it launches you basically full screen. So the only thing you're going to get is like a ball, and you get to get in, but you don't get like a safe jump,
Yeah,
which
why,
is
why
much
does
more threatening.
why does Terry have a command grab? He doesn't have one in his actual game. Why? And also, why give a Shoto a command grab too? It's Fighting
Well,
X-Layer is a
they
very
took away his
wild
Tatsu.
game.
They took away his Tatsu.
They
Actually,
gave Alan a command grab in lieu of no Tatsu and no anti-air, and then they gave it to Terry, who already has that. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
yeah, they took away Alan's Tatsu for a command grab, but then gave Terry everything else.
And like the thing that Alan is really good at, he's really good at setting up a meaty fireball with most of his knockdowns, which is really good in this game because Kyrie doesn't really have that many ways of setting that up, and same with other characters outside of Sharon maybe that have bullet. But Alan can do that really well and often without any meter. But the thing is, Terry has a low projectile that you can't low profile and deal with, and the thing is, Terry gets it way more often. And if the opponent tries to avoid the fireball, Terry gets more of a reward by calling that answer out versus Alan, which often he'll just get a DP or a triple break if he's at the right spot. But like I said, it's just going to edge out to Terry anyway because he does what Alan sort of does, but in a way that covers more options. So
hmm
This is why.
Yeah, I think I would have to give Terry the slight edge
Yeah,
over Alan here.
despite Terry's mobility, which can be remedied anyways,
mm-hmm.
um, I think Terry actually does edge it out at the end. I think I'd say it's a 5-5 matchup against Allen, but with everyone else, Terry can basically do it all. Basically,
Yeah. He doesn't
anti-airs.
really lack anything. Like, yes, mobility, like you said, he's a bit slower on the slower side. And that matters in key moments of the game, but like generally he's not suffering at all. Like he does have a very high jump and can be bad in the game because you have trouble because generally in this game you throw bait by neutral jumping. That's like usually the best coverage option for most options. And the thing is his jump is so high, so often you're not going to throw bait with his jump too successfully unless they delay tech really late. But the thing is, he has so many different options, and he can just go to command grab to force the opponent to jump instead. So I don't know. He doesn't really suffer too much by having a high jump, unlike characters like Garuda and Darun and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So I guess put it up there, Arnisi.
All right, we're gonna have Terry.
Yeah, I think we all I think we can agree that Terry is the number one.
Yeah.
Since release, Terry has remained number one.
Yeah, it's I remember ever since he was released, he hasn't been touched because I mean I don't know if Miharu-san was actually joking or was he actually for real about it, but Terry will never get nerfed.
Oh, yeah, I bet he was telling the 100% truth.
Terry will never. That's why they made him the best character. That's why Terry has a command grab.
Yep.
We figured it out.
I remember because back when we were playing online fighting games, right when Terry came out, and the next day we had our offline event that day, and it was the FEXL day on Thursday. And I remember he was trying out Terry because like I just had downloading him on my setup, but the main venue didn't have Terry on that PS4, so mine was the only one. So me and him were just playing, and I was like, "What do you think of Terry?" He's like, "I think he's so stupid." And I was like, "Yeah, you think so?" He's like, "Yeah, he's got a command grab," and I'm like, "Oh fuck." So I didn't realize
Literally,
at the time.
literally every option that you could possibly want in a character, Terry has it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I
And this
remember
is
when I first tried him out, I was like, why can he juggle after Power Geyser?
The only thing that he's missing is a safe string, and he'll be perfect. He'll be the most unstoppable character in the entire game.
yeah.
Look, man, we get Japanese players that watch this. I don't want that. I don't want them to be
Well,
like us.
what's funny though, he was actually nerfed once, but the
He
only thing that
was?
was changed, yeah, the only thing that was nerfed was his stand heavy punch was changed from being plus on block to now safe on block. That's it.
I don't remember that.
It was plus for like a week and a half or 2 weeks, something like that, and then they immediately.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I don't. That's why I don't remember that. But yeah, it's
Oh, and the last thing I'll say about Alan and Terry is that we actually went to the Japanese stream. I think it was Dr. Mino and I think Zero T playing a few sets, and like it was me, Wavy, and a few other people. And we are trying to ask him like, what does Alan say during some of his dialogue? Because like nobody understands him, and
and they have
even
no idea.
yeah, even they had no idea what he was saying. The only thing they got from what he said, like during his forward throw, for example, was that it was something to do with karate.
Yeah, even they don't know. We were just sitting there like, wow, they don't even know.
I love Fexel. My God,
Yeah,
I never want to know what he's saying.
it's gonna forever be a mystery. It really is. But I think this is a good year end tier list. Why I don't have many other rows is because I'm lazy, and so because I'm an old man, it's a lot of work. And but I think this is pretty good where it's at. I hope let's let us.
Well, I think it's a little bit more difficult to really sort of differentiate the characters between because our A tier is very long, but I think it's sort of hard to split those characters up because so much of it depends on different matchups and like
Sure.
So
um
this was
and a lot of those characters have that sort of ambiguity in the sense that you can play them multiple different ways.
yeah,
So I think it's hard to really sort of hammer out those finer details to figure out, who really is better than who. Well, we don't know because so much of it boils down to matchups, right?
right.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, when you're in A tier, like, everyone is really good at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very hard to, yeah, because like even like some of the weaknesses or holes in their game or things that are lacking, they can be easily made up with a certain Gogi deck or two, right? And then that can also help some matchups and stuff like that. So it's really hard to dictate, like you said, Razira. Um,
Hmm.
and like obviously deck choice matters a lot for the lower tiers too because they can address holes in some certain way. But the difference I think between the A tier and the B and C is that when you choose a certain Gogi deck, you gain certain advantages. Like for example, Berserker Shadow Geist, like one of the best combos of a deck and a character together. By having normals that chip on block, plus having six chain, plus having Beta Government, right? Is super oppressive, right? But it's kind of like a one-sided or semi one-sided huge trait of the deck and the character together. But when you combine that sort of option with the A tier characters, they kind of don't lose anything on the negative side by picking a deck like that. So
Hmm.
And I think compared to the one I did in October, there was a bit of changes as you can tell. So this is the before where we had Alan be the best character, and of course Jack being in the same spot as always. and
Man, we can never just find any justice for Hayate, huh?
yeah, I mean
No
Hayate
matter
was
what we do, we
right.
cannot find anything that just makes that character just that little bit better to compete with the rest of the cast, no matter what happens.
I did hear that Nishitani's favorite character is Hayate, so it's kind of funny that he's low tier. I'm pretty sure I heard him say that somewhere that he
Probably.
was his favorite.
I think Bihara did say that, and we're all just like, well, I mean, I think if Hayate is his favorite character and you made him low tier, it doesn't really show any bias, I guess, or developer bias or whatever.
Maybe,
Uh,
yeah.
but I think this is where a good year end tier list. Just full disclosure. This is not like this should be used as a reference and not anything official.
Mhm.
This is just based on opinion from from two old guys and a younger gentleman. So, uh,
Razzira is a genius, though, so I don't know.
but this should not be used like my word is not law when it comes to finding EX layer. So
Well,
take this as you will.
the thing that makes FEXL so unique, at least in my opinion, is that like yes, these tier lists exist, and there's very obviously characters that are better than the others. But I think for the most part, you can almost pick any character on the roster and find some tangible results if you're willing to put in the work, and
Hmm.
which is not something you can say very often about a lot of other fighting games.
Right.
So
Yeah.
even if you find Garuda, for example, is in C tier, you still see Geki running around hitting people with all kinds of messed up cross up mix ups.
Nah, dude, he just DPs all day.
And especially when you're considering different Gogi decks, like again, you sort of have that extra room for ambiguity in so many different ways of approaching the game. So really,
Mhm.
you can pick just about any character, and if you're willing to experiment and figure something out, you probably get some kind of results.
Yeah. I think like you said, the just to add on, the beautiful part about FEXO is that in other games that are more character base, like Street Fighter and whatnot. I feel like at a certain point after playing a single character, you'll kind of hit a wall where no matter how good you get at the game and at the character, there's some things you just will never be able to deal with based on how good you are, because just the game limits you in that aspect because of the character just simply can't do that certain thing, right, to deal with said situation. But in FEXL, you're never going to really run into a wall. You're just kind of going to get to different plateaus, and it's up to you to see how far you want to go with it, right? And the beautiful thing, like you said, is that you can pick one character, never switch characters, like Wavy does, for example, and just pick different decks based on the matchup, based on the player, the character, maybe based on your mood. You know, it's just the sky's the limit. So you're never in FEXL, you're never going to really be held back by the game, even if you pick Hayate, even if you pick Terry. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. It does matter a little bit in like how you learn, maybe, you know, how you play a certain character or what deck you choose, but ultimately it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling y'all, you know, Thursday morning at 3:45 a.m. I just gotta rock out Shadow Guys. That's because that's the mood I'm in. But no, maybe in all seriousness, yeah, you can just stick with one character and just rock and just run with it. Seriously, I mean, I think I've only seen Dr. Mino use Skelemania. I think I've only seen Machi use Sanane, if I remember correctly. I've used
Yeah.
I've used Blair mostly throughout my entire Fighting X Slayer career, except for like that brief moment I used Alan, but in 2019. But other than that, I mean, it's you can still just you can have one character, you can have two, or you could just be like Disintegration and Razzira, who just feels like playing the entire cast, depending on what time it is. I guess.
Just play everyone. You'll never have a bad matchup again.
True. Easy fix.
Easy fix. Yes. So, uh, I think this, as I said, this is a pretty good tier list. It was a nice discussion about fighting EX layer as a whole in 2020. A lot of stuff picked up in the summer. We still have rollback, which is great. We still have the tournaments. We have Shuga series and the Gogi Classic. Waiting for the Razzira Runback series. I'm kidding, but
Tell work to stop booking me on tournament days.
Oh, and before we go, I want to just quickly address. So tomorrow there will be no Shuga series, just because I want to give people the time off because it's the holidays. Christmas. Oh my God, Hanukkah. All the holidays and whatnot. I wanted people to spend time with their families and the people they care about, right? Especially times of COVID. I'd rather you spend it with people instead of just games. But I am going to be posting a sign-up page for the next Shuga series, which will be on this Sunday, the 27th of December. It'll be at 12:30 p.m. PST. So please sign up and definitely get some of the EU players in. And the following week afterwards, on the 30th, we'll have the next Shuga series back to its normal schedule on the 30th, and that will be on PS4. So basically next week you'll get PS4 and PC tournaments that you'll be able to enter. So.
And whereas the next Gogi Classic will be January 7th, and that will be on PS4 as well. I would like to thank Geki and Razirra for joining me this evening.
Thanks for having us.
On this.
Absolutely.
I was just like, I want to do a year-end thing for Fighting EX Slayer, and I was like, let me just get an old guy with me and a younger dude to just join me on some conversation. And no, no, I mean, you two are amazing, players, that know the game as well. And I think 2021 would be a good year for Fighting EX Slayer. Hopefully we'll get that crossplay happening. Hopefully we can get some more players to stay, things like that. And for those that don't know, of course, we're just gonna say it again. Fighting EX Slayer is on sale. It's $10 on Steam. Make sure you get it if you need to. There's probably a sale on a good laptop that you can use to play Fighting EX Layer. Even if you don't have a PC that can run it, gift it to some friends, family, your dog. Even it's only $10.
Yep.
I mean, anybody can play this game. Even Beanie could if he tried.
He's tried.
He's tried, but it's something that it's a game that we all love, to share, we all love to promote. So support Arica, support Fighting EX Slayer. Sign up for the free to enter tournaments. By the way, free to enter. You don't really have to. You're not really losing anything other than probably some comfort, or I don't know. But still, you're not really losing anything. I think that will do it for tonight. I will upload this to my YouTube channel sometime this week because I do that.
Awesome.
I think uploading Fighting EX Layer content is a good idea. Gives people like that are just coming in to know some things. As I said, do not take this tier list how you will. Use it as a reference point. It's not really an official thing because it's not. Tier lists are never official. But as I said, just want to thank everyone for watching. If you enjoyed the stream, of course, give me a follow, or if you want to support me, hit the nice little sub button. Help me with that sub goal that's at the bottom there. Thank you once again, Geki and Razirra, and I would love to make sure everyone have a great night. Stay safe. Have a happy holidays, and I will be back tomorrow night for more Legend of Dragoon. You all have a good evening.
Take care, guys.
Have a good night, everybody.